Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Chapter 61. Three People Give Up. Li Kanur easily wins over Shui Hongyi. The goddess is on stage. Look. Why are you panicking? Do I need you to remind me? A group of young guys outside became excited when they saw Li Qin'er coming on stage. Li Kanur has attracted a large number of fans with her outstanding appearance and excellent temperament. Compared to the cold Bei Xuanshui, the cold and ruthless Shui Hongyi, and the already taken Xia Yanren, the sweet and pure Li Qin'er is naturally more favored by the majority of old perverts. Li Qin'er went on stage and waited for a long time, but no one from the opposite side came on stage. Far away, Nangong Wuliang's face turned pale, and he asked, "Where's Nangong Tong?" A family guard came forward and said tremblingly, "Master, after the first round of fighting with the young master, he said he was feeling unwell and needed to recuperate for a while. We have been looking for him for a while. UB *********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** and was so angry that he was puffing his beard and glaring. Damn it, if you lose, you lose. You dare to be a deserter. Find him for me. If he doesn't come on stage before the result is announced, I will expel him from the Nangong family. No wonder Nangong Wuliang got angry. Victory and defeat are common in the military. Even if you admit defeat on stage, it is better than being a deserter. He is still the prodigy of the Nangong family. What else can he do except bring shame to the Nangong family? How will your opponents see you if you dare not even show your face? What do the many audiences in Qingzhou think? What's more, the opponent is Great Qian. A quarter of an hour later, Lu Neng announced the winner of this match amid the grim looks of everyone in the Nangong family. In the seventh match, Nangong Tong gave up, and Li Canur won. Li Canur was calm and walked down the martial arts stage quietly. Hey, I thought I could hear another song from the goddess. This Nangong Tong is too timid. What about the four great families? My goddess is so gentle, even though she always crushes me, she never kills me. Why doesn't she dare to go up and fight? That's right, you coward. If I can get the goddess to play a piece of music for me, I will be willing to die. You haven't woken up yet, come on, wake him up. My pee is yellow, I'm coming. I have diabetes. Let me give him something sweet to taste. Many viewers were very resentful of Nangong Tong's abstention, and they also had complaints about the Nangong family and the four major families. In the next match, Extra 1 versus Extra 2. It's boring. I won't watch it anymore. Let me rest my eyes for a while. There will definitely be more intense battles later. That's right, come on, man, there's a club next to us, let's go relax first. Let's go together. Let's go together. The last group of two people, whom the author does not want to give names, looked at the audience who had no enthusiasm at all in a daze, and then started a boring bayonet fight. In the end, both of them collapsed on the stage exhausted. Lu Neng chose the one with stronger spirit and announced his victory. The quarter-finals have been announced. Chen Qingzi, void refining is complete. Huo cubing, void refining is complete. Fang Shang, mid-stage of void refining. Li Canur, void refining late stage. Bei Xuanshui, void refining is complete. Yi Wuliang, void refining is complete. Shui Hongyi, void refining completed. Extra, void refining is complete. Among the 8 people, Great Qian accounts for 4. After a short break, a new round of drawing lots began. Chen Qingzi vs Huo cubing. Fang Shang vs Bei Xuanshui. Li Canur vs Shui Hongyi. Yi Wuliang vs Extra 1. The draw results once again sparked a flurry of discussion. But what no one expected was that 3 people abstained as soon as the results came out. Extras 1, Chen Qingzi and Bei Xuanshui. It was understandable that Extra 1 gave up, as he had completely lost his combat power in the previous battle and could not recover in such a short time. Moreover, with his strength, he is indeed ranked at the bottom among these people. It is understandable that Chen Qingzi gave up the rights. Both of them are from Great Qian and it is impossible for them to kill each other. But Bei Xuanzu's abstention surprised everyone, even the people from the 4 major families were extremely surprised. Although in everyone's eyes Fang Shang is very strong and sinister, Bei Xuanshui is not weak either. He has not used his full strength in the battle so far, so why would he give up? Isn't this showing weakness to the enemy and clearly saying that the 4 major families are not as good as Great Qian? However, Bei Xuanshui had no intention of explaining. She just stood quietly on the stage without saying a word. Bei Xuanshui, what do you mean? Nangong Wuliang's voice reached Bei Xuanzu's ears. It's meaningless. I don't want to fight anymore. Bei Xuanshui replied indifferently. Nangong Wuliang was really angry this time. He was not as angry as when his son died just now. Brother Nangong, calm down. Now is not the time to fall out with the Beishuan family. Examen Qingzu suddenly said. Humph. When I meet Bei Xuanba, I will really ask him how he taught his daughter to be so rude. Simon celebrated in silence. You really think highly of yourself. Bei Xuanba is the only one among the 4 family heads who has entered the realm of Taoism. Although you are of the same generation as him, I'm afraid he wouldn't dare to say a word when you meet him. How can you be so confident in making such a boast? In the arena, 3 people advanced directly, and only 2 women stepped onto the martial arts stage. This is a tit-for-tat confrontation, a fairy versus a witch. I think Shui Hongyi has a good chance of winning. This girl is hiding her secrets too well. What nonsense. Kanur will win, and she will kill with 1 strike. You're really like an old lady eating a lollipop, you really know how to lick it. On stage. Little sister, we dance together and are quite a good match. Shui Hongyi looked at Li Qin'er with a sweet smile. Li Qin'er remained calm and just took out the harp. I will only play 1 song, please listen. Then, the fingertips plucked lightly, and melodious piano sounds rang out, like the sound of nature, with unimaginable power. Shui Hongyi danced. A song of peace of mind, a dance of heavenly demon. To outsiders, the music and dancing on the stage are both superb and the scenery is picturesque. However, this is just the beginning. The sound of the piano gradually became faster and the melody became sharper. Rays of white light appeared and shot towards Shui Hongyi, who was dancing alone. As Shui Hongyi danced to the music, demonic energy appeared. On the stage, black and white are standing apart and competing against each other. The evil energy constantly collides with the white light. Under the 2 completely different forces, the ring began to tremble violently, as if it was about to collapse. The defensive formation appeared, and cracks appeared on it. Lu Neng cursed inwardly, and a stream of spiritual power was integrated into the formation. Damn, this formation won't have any problems even if empty void realm uses all their strength. What kind of perverts are these 2 women? At this moment, with the confrontation between black and white, Shui Hongyi's body was shaking slightly, as if under great pressure. The melody of the dance became slower and slower, and the demonic energy was gradually decreasing. So strong, what song is this? Li Qin'er did not answer. Shui Hongyi gritted his teeth, made up his mind, stopped dancing, and a mouthful of blood gushed out. It combined with the demonic energy and transformed into human shapes in the air, each of which exuded an extremely powerful energy fluctuation. What kind of sorcery is this? The people below the stage looked at the humanoid black mist in the air above the stage in horror. They felt a terrifying power from it, each of which was no weaker than the void refining realm. Li Qin'er's expression remained unchanged and her fingers continued to pluck the strings. Kids, go and tear her to pieces. Shui Hongyi had a ferocious expression in his eyes. She was the 3rd saintess of the heavenly demon clan and was definitely not inferior to anyone else, not to mention that she was also a woman. The figures in the black fog swooped down towards Li Qin'er, each with unimaginable power. However, what no one expected was that before these human-shaped phantoms could reach Li Qin'er, they were blocked by vortexes of spiritual power transformed from the sounds of the piano. Then the void shook, and the human-shaped phantoms dissipated one by one, turning into points of light and disappearing into the air. How could this happen? How can you be so strong? Shui Hongyi staggered, and spat out another mouthful of blood, his face turning pale. The music stopped, Li Qin'er put away the harp, and said calmly, you lose. Shui Hongyi was somewhat distraught. Yes, I lost. She walked off the stage. As the 3rd saintess of the heavenly demon clan, she originally thought that no one in the relatively remote and weak Qingzhou would be a match for her. But she didn't expect that she would be defeated by this woman who was younger than her and of lower level than her. Are the heavenly demons destined to be inferior to humans? It was like this 10,000 years ago, will it be like this 10,000 years later? Chapter 62. The battle is over, Dao realm takes action, Zhao Gao appears. In this battle, Li Qin'er won. The top 4 have been confirmed. 3 great Qian people, plus a wealthy Taoist priest. The 3 people except Li Qin'er all had complicated expressions. Shui Hongyi is definitely not weak and has the ability to reach the top. But he was completely unable to fight back in front of Li Qin'er. They can't do it. Next, the draw for the semi-finals was held and 2 more people withdrew. Li Qin'er vs Yi Wuliang. Fang Xiong vs Huo Qubing. Yi Wuliang gave up. Although he had many talismans, they were not as strong as Shui Hongyi's figurine. It would be a waste to fight with them. Feng wanted to give up. As long as he was not the first, it didn't matter which place he got, not to mention that they were all great Qians. In this way, Li Qin'er and Huo Qubing entered the finals. Similarly, Huo Qubing abstained. Li Qin'er topped the list. This void refining prodigy battle ended so hastily. There has never been such a harmonious prodigy match. There has never been a situation where 3 of the top 4 belong to the same faction and 3 of them abstained. In the end, the remaining people did not fight anymore. Li Qin'er came in first, Huo Qubing came in second, and Fang Xiong and Yi Wuliang tied for third. Lu Neng presented them the final prizes. Third place, a high-level spirit weapon. Second place, a low-level Taoist skill. First place, a low-level Tao weapon. These 3 rewards make people drool. High-level spirit weapon. Taoist skills. Tao weapon. Can this be given casually? It is difficult for many Dao-level people to own a Dao weapon. There are only a few Dao-level artifact refining masters in the entire eastern wilderness, so Dao weapons are very rare. Just giving a void refining realm like this, aren't you afraid that others will snatch it away? Or is it that the governor's mansion and the demon-slaying guards are so powerful that they can give Dao weapons away casually? A tavern in the distance. Zuo Azure Dragon couldn't help but say, what was Zhao Qingzhou thinking? He even took out Dao weapon. Isn't this the prize for the first place in Empty Void tomorrow? Tomorrow. We don't know if the prodigy meeting can be held tomorrow. Situ Qingshan sneered. The left Azure Dragon looked around and sighed. Yes, I sensed a few familiar auras. Those guys have really been dug out. There are quite a few unfamiliar Dao realms. Are they here to watch the fun or to take advantage of the situation? Situ Qingshan said coldly. I'm here to watch the fun, of course it would be best if I could catch some fish 1 inch. Qingshan, tell me, did the Lord of Guards tell you anything when he left? If anything happens in Daifeng City, will my demon-slaying guards stand on the side of the governor's mansion? Zuo Azure Dragon suddenly said seriously. There are only 3 Dao realms in the demon-slaying guard. The Lord of Wei, Ying Wu. Deputy Guardian, Left Azure Dragon. Chief Instructor, Wang Teng. In addition, if Situ Qingshan becomes violent, he can fight in the Dao realm. Now that Yingwu has left Qingzhou, Wang Teng has been nowhere to be found. In this Daifeng city, there are only Zuo Azure Dragon and Situ Qingshan in charge. And Yingwu never discusses things with me. He said that although he had some brains, he could only see things at the second level and was most likely to be taken advantage of, so he told himself to just fight and not use his brain. In the absence of the guard leader and the chief instructor, he was the one in charge of the Qingzhou Demon Slayer Guard on the surface, but in fact, it was Situ Qingshan who made the decisions. The demon-slaying guard and the governor's mansion both belong to the Divine Phoenix, so we just need to cooperate with the governor's mansion. Situ Qingshan only said this and did not say any more. Azure Dragon was about to say something else when he heard a loud bang, which attracted his attention. Immediately following was a loud voice that spread throughout the Great Wind City. Today's prodigy meeting is over. The 4 major families are doing business. The rest of you, get out of the way. In the martial arts arena, Lu Neng, the lord of Daifeng City, looked at the people who came from the air, his face changed, and he shouted, Nangong Wuliang, what do you 4 major families want to do? Rebellion. Rebellion, City Lord Lu, we cannot afford to say that. But yesterday, Great Qian provoked my 4 major families here, and the Life and Death Pavilion even issued life and death notices to the heads of my 4 major families. Do you want us to wait to be killed? Nangong Wuliang said sternly. Lu Neng wanted to say something else when a voice came into his ears. The next moment, he snorted coldly. All onlookers, please step back. Otherwise, if you are accidentally injured, Daifeng City will not be held responsible. There are still the 4 major families. Great Qian, I don't care how you 2 fight and quarrel, but don't mess up my Daifeng City. After Lu Neng finished speaking, he slipped away. All the people retreated far away. The upcoming battle will definitely be quite intense, so be careful not to get hurt accidentally. A dark shadow appeared beside Shui Hongyi and took him away. A sloppy Taoist priest also appeared beside Yi Wuliang, who simply held him under his armpit and ran away. An old man who looked like a farmer also appeared beside Zhao Qing, the second in the law manifestation realm, who was watching the battle from a distance, and looked at this side happily. There are several other eyes also watching here. The originally bustling martial arts arena of the Nuoda family now only had Great Qian and the 4 major families opposing each other. Hand over, Shah, and tell us the location of the Life and Death Pavilion and your origins, and my 4 major families can spare your lives. Nangong Wuliang stepped forward and said with a gloomy face. Ha. Do you overestimate your 4 major families? If you want to die, I can grant your wish. Bai Qi appeared with a long spear, full of murderous aura. If you don't accept my toast, I'll punish you. A defeated general dares to speak so arrogantly. Bai Qi said disdainfully. You, Nangong Wuliang was furious, then suddenly calmed down and sneered. I want to see what confidence you have to say this. Without a Dao realm master, you, Bai Qi, alone cannot protect these proud children of heaven. Don't bother your master Nangong about this. Whether to fight or not, you should call people as soon as possible. Are you guys here to seek death? Bai Qi said impatiently. The people from the 4 major families all glared at each other. Young man, you have some strength, but that's not enough for you to be arrogant. An old voice came. At the same time, a crack appeared in the sky, and a giant hand grabbed Bai Qi and others. Bai Qi sneered, took a step forward, and thrust forward with his halberd. With a bang, Bai Qi was knocked down directly, but the huge palm also trembled and was blocked for a moment. That's right, but it's not enough. The gap between the Void Realm and the Dao Realm cannot be bridged just because you have some talent. The giant hand snapped again. However, what no one expected was. Just like a breeze blowing by, a beardless man in a black satin robe suddenly appeared on the Great Qian side. Manager Zhao. Bai Qi nodded slightly. Oh, General Bai, you are embarrassing me. Let's solve the problem first, then we can talk. Zhao Gao turned slightly sideways, then looked up at the giant hand above with cold eyes and snorted. Humph, a mere trifle. The moment he finished speaking, he suddenly raised his right foot and stomped it hard on the ground, and the whole person soared into the sky. Then he threw a punch. An extremely powerful aura burst out from his body, instantly enveloping the surroundings. That is an extremely terrifying power. This power seemed to contain the entire universe, and with unparalleled power and domineering, it slammed into the giant palm in the sky. For a moment, only a series of crisp sounds of click, click, were heard. Zhao Gao's fist hit the giant palm hard. Then an extremely terrifying force spread through the fist, directly blasting the palm above into pieces. Chapter 63. Examen Bei and Examen Bai, the demon cult that took the blame. Ah! A terrible scream was heard. The punch Zhao Gao threw just now not only injured his palm, but also directly spread from his palm to his body. After being nourished by the supreme grade vermilion fruit, Zhao Gao made a huge leap from the void refining stage to the peak of the early stage of the way. Then, after half a month of consolidating his cultivation in the secret realm, he had already stepped half a step into the middle stage of the Dao. Li Yun was also very willing to train his subordinates, and he had no shortage of Taoist magic and weapons, so that Zhao Gao's current strength meant that fighting against higher-level enemies was no problem at all. What's more, the other party is only in the middle stage of the Dao realm. Moreover, lifespan was almost exhausted, and it was difficult to even use all his strength. The lifespan in the virtual realm is 1,000 years, while the lifespan in the Dao realm can reach 3,000 years. Among the four major families, except for the Beishuan family, which has the strongest strength, the other three families have only 2 people in the Dao realm. Moreover, they are all in the Dao realm where their bodies are half buried in the ground. They usually stay in coffins to reduce consumption, intending to live for a longer period of time. Who are you? An old, skinny, and toothless man appeared. It's really that old guy Examen Bai. He's not dead yet. I don't know if Examen Bei has arrived. Zuo Azure Dragon curled his lips in the distance. The Examen family only has 2 Dao Realm Masters, so it's impossible for them to come out in full force. In my estimation, the 4 major families will at most send out 1 person each, and they are all corrupt old things. If Great Qian still has another Dao Realm Master, it is not impossible for him to stop them. Situ Qingshan analyzed. Zuo Azure Dragon shook his head. No, if the Beishuan family takes action, Great Qian will probably be in trouble. Qingzhou is not the Qingzhou of the past. If it weren't for the Beishuan family supporting it over the years, Qingzhou would have been without the 4 major families long ago. Situ Qingshan was speechless. The old fellow from the Beishuan family hasn't been seen for over 1,000 years, but there is no doubt that with the 3,000 years of lifespan in the Dao realm, he is still in his prime. He was a person who could overpower Zhao Qingzhou at that time. On the side of Daifeng City, Examen Bai just made his move. Hucheng is thousands of miles away. Both forces received the news at the same time. Action. Both parties set out at the same time. Examen Mansion is located in the northwest of Hucheng, covering dozens of square kilometers. There is a small hill behind it, which also belongs to Examen Mansion. The group of demon cult members who arrived first, with their strength in the Dao realm, easily dealt with several guards and those who were guarding in secret. At this time, because of the Prodigy Club in Daifeng City, all the beings in the Examen family who were above the Void realm went there to provide support. There is only one clan elder at the Hexu realm left in the mansion, and the rest are probably buried in the back mountain. Sha Bishan, who was at the Daoan realm, killed the clan elder at the Hexu realm without anyone noticing and began to search. These members of the evil cult usually lived in hiding and in misery, but when they saw the luxury of the Examen mansion, they couldn't take their eyes away and stuffed anything valuable they saw into their storage rings. It took only half a cup of tea for them to enter Examen mansion. The Yin-Yang sect also arrived at the gate of Examen mansion. Remember, don't conduct large-scale detection and don't reveal your presence. Be careful not to be discovered by the old monster from the Examen family. The crying Taoist warned everyone outside. The Examen family doesn't have any defense at all. After entering the Examen mansion, everyone was very puzzled. They discovered that apart from the young men of low status and the female relatives, there was not even a single guard in Examen mansion. Not only is there nothing in the dark, but even in the bright areas, there is nothing. Little did they know that the cult's method was too clean. After killing the enemies, they put the bodies into storage rings and then erased all traces. In order to cover up the smell of blood, each person even carried air cleanser. However, these made the people of Yin-Yang sect more cautious, for fear that they would think it was a trap set by the Examen family. After all, it is impossible for such a large family to be without defense. But they soon discovered the problem. Because Examen's house is so damn clean. They visited 3 houses in a row but did not find anything valuable. The floors of some rooms have been scratched. Grand Majesty, something is not right. Why do I feel like we have met someone in the same profession? Shen Kui said solemnly. Huh, you mean, the crying Taoist also discovered the problem. Well, I'll carefully detect it. Then, the crying Taoist carefully controlled the range of his spiritual sense and began to scan. FK. You're stealing my stuff. The crying Taoist discovered something was wrong. There were several men in black in front of him, each of them was sneaky. Wherever they passed, no grass grew. Each of them had a string of storage rings on his hand. He only saw the few people who were lagging behind and didn't look any further. For them to dare to act in this way, there must be someone in the Tao realm. And only someone in the Tao realm could take action so effortlessly to eliminate the guards and people guarding the Examen mansion. He told the situation. Shen Kui's eyes rolled. Great Master, are you sure there are Tao realm people among them? The crying Taoist nodded solemnly. This is beyond doubt. Shen Kui said in a low voice with a smile on his face. Grand Majesty, do you think this will work? Blah blah blah, blah blah. Shen Kui said what he was thinking, which drew everyone's admiration. Great, let's do it this way. Find a place to hide first and wait for my orders. The Great Lord patted Shen Kui's shoulder with his right hand. You are the one who is so mean. It really was a good decision for me to choose you as the leader. Damn it, you dare to let me eat dust behind my back. You guys take the blame for me. Soon, several people in the Hexu realm hid their positions and concealed their auras. Then, from the direction of the back mountain, an extremely oppressive aura was detected, followed by a roar. Who dares to be so presumptuous in my Examen family? Examen Bey was very annoyed. He was sleeping soundly to conserve his energy and reduce the loss of energy. I don't have many years left to live, let's see if I can make a small breakthrough. I didn't expect that yesterday my great-great-grandson from who knows how many generations ago came to me and said he was dying and asked me to save him. Damn, the dignified head of the Examen family was scared out of his wits by a post. I gave him 2 big slaps on the spot to wake him up. Then he asked his younger brother Examen Bai, who only had a few decades left to live, to solve the problem. It had been less than a day and a strange aura dared to spy on him, which made him even more angry. Don't the 4 major families have any influence in Qingzhou now? When he used his spiritual sense to check, he unexpectedly discovered that several men in black were doing some sneaky things in Examen's house, and the leader was actually a stranger in the realm of asking for the way. What's even more outrageous is that not only did his mother scratch the floor, she even stole the clothes of the female family members. Oh my god, how can this be tolerated? He got angry on the spot and directly pulled up more than a dozen little guys in the Hexu realm who were lying in the coffins in the back mountain. He was determined to catch these thieves in one fell swoop. The members of the demon cult looked at each other. What the hell is going on? We were so careful, how could we still be discovered by that old guy? Could it be that the old man lying in the coffin had no time to peek into his own house? At this time, Li Gangxing and Sha Bai had already loaded half of the spirit stone weapons and other resources in the warehouse, and felt the violent fluctuations of the aura of the Tao realm. Run! Li Gangxing and Sha Bai looked at each other and rushed out at the same time. Brothers, run! The 8 members of the demon cult immediately rushed out of the Examen family. Damn it, chase them now, don't let any of them go. Examen Bey roared. All the members of the Examen family transformed into a stream of light and began to track down the murderer. At this moment, in Examen Mansion, several hidden auras had already sneaked into the back mountain. If you want to know where there are the most treasures, of course it is where there are more strong people and more treasures. Although the treasures in Examen Mansion are very valuable, there are also some priceless treasures that cannot be measured by money. The Examen family has been doing business in Qingzhou for so many years, they can't carry all the treasures with them. A quarter of an hour later, thousands of miles away from Hucheng, Examen Bey and his men caught up with the members of the demon cult and a battle ensued. The demon cult was at a disadvantage in terms of numbers and realm, and was beaten back step by step. It was only because of its youth and abundant energy that it was able to hold on. You evil cult villains, not only did you dare to show up, but you also dared to kidnap the tiger's whiskers of my Examen family. Today, I will make sure you pay the price. Examen Bey became more and more courageous as the fight went on, and with one punch, he knocked Sha Bai far away. Suddenly, Examen Bey was stunned for a moment, his expression changed, and he looked towards the direction of Hucheng. Oh my god, my baby. Examen Bey's tone of voice changed a little, expressing his extremely uneasy state of mind. He has collected coffin books for more than 2,000 years, most of which are in the cave mansion in the back mountain. Then, he became even angrier and looked at the members of the demon cult. You thieves from the demon cult who stole my treasure. Today, none of you can escape. Examen Bey was furious, his eyes filled with bloodshot. His face was full of ferocity, and he wished he could devour these bastards of the evil sect in front of him alive. Little did they know that Li Gangxing and Sha Bai were all very confused. Isn't it just taking something from you? It's not particularly precious, is it necessary to work so hard for it? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 64. Dao realms appear frequently, fighting Dao realms with void realms. Windy City. Great Qian, Zhao Gao. Zhao Gao in a black robe stood proudly with his hands behind his back. You, Great Qian, really want to go against my four major families? Examen Bai looked at Zhao Gao viciously. Zhao Gao looked at Examen Bai as if he were a fool. You are all old immortals who have lived for thousands of years, yet you still say such childish things. The names of your four major families cannot scare anyone. If you want to fight, then fight. Examen Bai snorted coldly. Fight, fight in the void. Zhao Gao shook his head. You can't do it, come on, someone else. Veins popped up on Examen Bai's forehead. He was extremely angry at Zhao Gao's ignorance. But he had to admit it was a fact. He could feel that the strength of the man in front of him was close to the middle stage of the Dao. What's more important is his qi and blood, which are at their peak, definitely no more than 50 years old. He is in the middle stage of the Dao, less than 50 years old. I have been practicing Taoism for 1,000 years, and it took me 1,000 years to break through a small realm, and then another 1,000 years without any progress. Mr. Zhao, how about adding me? A voice came from a distance. Another old guy appeared next to Examen Bai. Dongfang Ren. Didn't this guy die in the battle against the demon cult 1,000 years ago? Where did you hear this rumor? Dongfang Ren was the prodigy of the Dongfang family back then. He entered the Dao realm at the age of 100. He was extremely strong. I have heard of this before. 1,000 years ago, when the remnants of the demon cult were being suppressed, Dongfang Ren was attacked by the demon cult and was beaten half to death by the leader of the branch temple in the Dao-seeking realm. He was almost beyond rescue. However, his realm only stopped at the middle stage of the Dao-seeking realm, and his lifespan was greatly reduced. It's a pity that such a genius could have had the hope of breaking through to a stronger level. Zhao Gao looked at Dongfang Ren seriously, with a hint of solemnity in his eyes. This Dongfang Ren is quite capable and should be no weaker than him. He is only 1,000 years old, but the flame of life is dim, and he really doesn't have many years left to live. Please. Zhao Gao made a move with his right hand, and a crack appeared in the space. Then he leapt into it. Dongfang Ren and Examen Bai followed closely behind, and the battle officially began. Is there still a Dao realm in Great Qian? The space in front of Bai Qi fluctuated, and a figure walked out slowly. This is an old man, whose age is unclear. He is wearing a simple linen garment and his hair is casually tied at the back of his head. His face was pale, and his eyes revealed fatigue and vicissitudes, as if he was an old man who had experienced many vicissitudes of life from ancient times to the present. Nangongda. He actually came out in person. 700 years ago, he was at the Dao Perfection realm. I wonder if he has broken through to the Dao Peeping realm. Probably not, but even if the Dao is perfected, Great Qian is in danger. Bai Qi felt a strong sense of crisis from the man in front of him. The man in front of him could probably be torn to pieces with just one move. However, he was not afraid, as His Majesty would arrange everything. Sure enough, a slightly lazy figure sounded in the distance, accompanied by a vast breath. It's so annoying. I can't even sleep well. That old guy over there, what are you looking at? There are too many people over there. I have social phobia. I'm going to fight over here. Nangongda frowned. As the way to perfection. He sensed a very dangerous aura from this breath. The people watching the battle around also felt this aura. Hiss. Great Qian has also reached the state of perfect inquiry. Look at this aura, it is much stronger than Nangongda. Who exactly is this Great Qian? Such a powerful force cannot be unknown. How could it suddenly appear? Provincial Governor's Office. Zhao Qingzhou looked over intently. With his level of cultivation, he could tell that the man who spoke was actually a beast. But he had never seen this beast before. However, he did feel another familiar aura from this beast. He had felt it from the guardian beast of the divine capital. It was a feeling of supreme virtue and contempt. Although this beast's cultivation is far inferior to that of the divine phoenix, the guardian beast of the country, its fate is equally noble. Is it the same existence as the guardian beast of the country? What exactly is Great Qian? Today, this mystery must be unveiled. Nangongda left, and the man and the beast opened up another battlefield. This battle is to see who has more cards, who has stronger cards, and who will be the final winner. Is there anyone who wants to fight? Another person walked over. Beishuan family, Beishuan wing. Not the kind of person with half of his body old, but a real middle-aged man. Less than 300 years old, in the middle stage of the Dao. The deterrent power is not comparable to that of the immortal old men like Examen Bai and Dongfang Ren. Similarly, on Great Qian's side, a mysterious wave appeared. Life and Death Pavilion, rat, please. The Life and Death Pavilion. Is the Life and Death Pavilion really a force on the same side as Great Qian? One party. I think the Pavilion of Life and Death might belong to Great Qian. This Great Qian is really amazing. Just looking at this, apart from the Beishuan family, I guess none of the other three families can rival Great Qian. The onlookers finally solved the case and found out who the Pavilion of Life and Death belonged to. Bei Xuanyi didn't think about these things, but stared at the direction where the sound came from and locked onto the target. A formation master in the Dao realm. Among the many practitioners, there are three types that are the most special. Alchemist, artifact refining master. Among these three, the formation master is the strongest. Because they can use the peerless formation to kill those whose cultivation is far superior to theirs. However, he was not afraid. Firstly, it takes time to set up a peerless formation. Secondly, this person is only in the initial stage of Taoism. I may not be able to defeat him, but I won't lose either. But I don't know who will appear next. Please. Bei Xuanyi took a step and disappeared. In just a few minutes, 7 Dao realm masters appeared and opened up 3 battlefields. Ordinary people may not be able to see it, but those powerful people in the Dao realm can see through the spatial barriers and watch the killing on the 3 battlefields. In the 3 battlefields, except for Bei Xuanyi's side where the 2 sides were evenly matched, Great Qian had the upper hand in the other 2. What they didn't expect the most was that Nangongda was actually being suppressed. The unknown monster did not resist Bei Xuanyi's attack at all. Every time Bei Xuanyi's sword stabbed into his body, it couldn't break his defense at all, it was like tickling him. If Bei Xuanyi were hit by that monster, his skin would be torn to pieces. Outside world. Nangong Wuliang and Examen Qingzu in the distance looked extremely unhappy. Unexpectedly, after sending out 4 Dao realm warriors, not only did they fail to suppress Great Qian, but they were also at a disadvantage. Fortunately, they were well prepared. Nangong Wuliang bowed slightly and said respectfully to the void, Venerable, Elder Baichuan, please take action once. Humph. Boy, I can only do you a favor once. If I use it this time, I will completely cut ties with the 4 major families. An old man in a black robe with a shady face appeared in the void, with a huge bloody centipede on his shoulder. Then, a middle-aged man in purple clothes appeared. He had a long sword on his back, a burly figure and long hair. Venerable Worm Valley Worm, elder of the White Lotus sect. The appearance of the 2 people surprised many spectators. I didn't expect that the 4 major families also invited external assistance. Chong Venerable is an independent cultivator. His dojo is located in the insect valley thousands of miles away. He raises countless poisonous insects and has reached the initial stage of cultivation. He was once hunted by his enemies, and was helped by Nangong Ke who passed by. He owed him a favor. This time, the Nangong family specially invited him out to prepare for any unexpected situation. Unexpectedly, he would really need him. Baichuan Venerable is the Grand Elder of the Qingzhou White Lotus branch. He is also in the early stage of Taoism and once owed the Examen family a favor. In addition, Bai Qi destroyed one of his branches, so he was thinking of revenge. There was no movement from Great Qian for a long while. No more Dao realm. If not, I will send you to the west. Elder Baichuan said lightly. Bai Qi clenched the sky-breaking halberd tightly. He was sure that there were still people in the Dao realm on his side, but since His Majesty did not make any arrangements, he must have his reasons. Then he will come to fight in this battle. With the empty void battle realm, he should be the best in the world. However, what he didn't expect was that someone was faster than him. A graceful figure in white passed by him, the sound of a piano came into his ears, and the 2 people at the scene disappeared. Li Chinner, Insect Venerable. Void Refining War asks. Bai Qi was stunned for a moment, then laughed out loud towards the sky. Ha ha ha, you bastards from the White Lotus sect, this battle will determine who's superior and who's inferior, and whether they live or die. The air was filled with blood and murderous intent. Bai Qi took a step forward, a flash of light passed by, and his long spear cut through the void. The blood enveloped the 2 people and disappeared into the void. Empty Void asked. Chapter 65, The Temptation of High-Level Dao Weapon, Bai Qi's Crazy Breakthrough. The Windy City was in an uproar. What did they see? A void refining in an empty void, actually dared to challenge the Dao realm alone. Who gave them the courage? Even Li Kanur was only at the void refining late stage, still 2 major realms away from reaching the Dao realm. It's simply ridiculous. Even her die-hard fans expressed their incomprehension of her irrational behavior. This woman can be called a prodigy. Not only in Qingzhou, but also in the entire eastern wilderness, she is also one of the best. However, with her void refining cultivation, she has no chance of winning against someone in the Dao realm. Unfortunately, compared with the 4 major families, Great Qian still lacks foundation. In the tavern, Zuo Azure Dragon said with regret. Lord Zuo Wei, it's too early to draw a conclusion at this time. Satu Qingshan shook his head. Left Azure Dragon shook his head. He himself was also at the initial stage of the Dao, and his cultivation level was comparable to that of the Insect Venerable. If Li Kanur can defeat Venerable, doesn't that mean she can also defeat him? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. If I really lose, then all these hundreds and nearly thousands of years of practice will be in vain. At this moment, many Dao realms who were paying attention to Daifeng City shifted their attention from the previous 3-party battlefield to this new 2-party battlefield. After all, a fight between people of the same level is not as interesting as a fight between empty void or void refining. In the void, the tides rolled endlessly, and the vital energy of heaven and earth was extremely chaotic, sometimes violent like a tornado, and sometimes dark like a black hole. Occasionally, there were flashes of lightning, and the vital energy between heaven and earth was torn into pieces, with sparks flying everywhere. The figures of Li Qin'er and Chong Venerable suddenly appeared in the void. Little girl, you are very courageous, but your intelligence needs to be improved. Well, today, I will let my children have a good meal. You must remember this lesson in your next life. A smile appeared on Venerable's mother's face. Li Qin'er frowned slightly, not because she had any opinion on what Chong Venerable said. But the environment here made her feel a little uncomfortable. Especially the violent spirit qi, which was running rampant, did not satisfy her very much. I'll play a piece of music for you to listen to. Li Qin'er said nothing more. She sat cross-legged in the air and took out a guqin with a full Dao rhyme. When she took out the guqin, all the Taoists watching from outside changed their expressions. Even exclaimed, high-level Dao weapon. Normally, Dao weapon low, medium and high levels correspond to asking about the Dao, peeping into the Dao and integrating with the Dao. However, in reality, many Dao fusion realm masters in Eastern Wilderness use low-level Dao weapons. This is because there are too few mid and high-level Dao weapons. There are 3 Dao-level artifact refining engineers in Eastern Wilderness. Moreover, only one person has successfully forged a mid-level Dao weapon. Except for the 9 major forces and some hidden transcendent level forces, low-level Dao weapons are very rare. And now Li Qin'er actually took out a high-level Dao weapon, which immediately attracted a lot of greedy eyes. Great Qian Emperor Palace. Li Yun sneered. He exposed the high-level Dao weapon on purpose. In Great Qian's first battle in the Eastern Wilderness, how could the participation of only the 4 major families be enough? How can we spread the reputation of Great Qian without killing some Dao realm people? Provincial Governor's Office. Zhao Qingzhou showed no emotion at all at the appearance of the high-level Dao weapon. Instead, he frowned and kept exploring the surrounding void. He always felt that there was a strong person watching him in secret. But he scanned the area within 100 miles around Dafeng City. There are only 13 people in the Dao realm. Excluding those on the battlefield, there are still 2 people from the 4 major families. It is highly likely that the Beishuan family will not take action. The Nangong family has not shown their faces for hundreds of years. If they are not absolutely sure, they probably won't take action. The person next to Shui Hongyi should be a strong man among the heavenly demons. Beside Yi Wuliang, the master of the 7 Stars Temple. Zhao Qing's grandfather, Badao, Lao Shu. There are 2 more people, judging from their positions, they might be the hidden Dao realm of Great Qian. In addition, there are 4 native Qingzhou Taoists and the deputy leader of the demon-slaying guard, Zuo Azure Dragon. There are 13 people in total, no one should be able to escape my detection. Unless the other party is as strong as yourself. The vision is given to the void. Zheng. Li Qin'er tapped the zither with her index finger, and a syllable emanated from her fingertips, like water flowing in a mountain stream or the horn of a charge, setting off a violent vortex of spirit qi in the large space in front of the 2 of them. She lightly stroked the air with her fingers, and the whirlpool surged forward as if they were controlled by her. At this moment, Chong Venerable looked a little solemn. It can be said that he became serious the moment Li Qin'er took out the Dao weapon. He never imagined that a cultivator at the void refining level could possess such a powerful weapon. He doesn't even have a Dao weapon at the Dao realm. Moreover, how the hell can someone in the void refining realm control high-level Dao weapons? Have I, the old bug, been in seclusion for too long? Has the weather in the Eastern Wilderness changed? But he didn't have time to think, with the high-level Dao weapon on him, and he could be controlled by her. There is no doubt that he already has the capital to fight against himself. Of course, even so, he still didn't think he would lose. So what if you can master high-level Dao weapons? How much spiritual power do you have? How long can you play? The insect Taoist waved his sleeves, and dense swarms of insects and ants emerged from his sleeves. The space trembled, and endless black insects and ants covered Li Qin'er. Although there were many insects and ants, Li Qin'er was not afraid at all. Ding 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 ding. Li Qin'er kept playing the guqin in her hand. Every time she played, endless spirit qi gathered and formed a torrent of spirit qi, bombarding the insects and ants, blowing them up and making them disappear into the air. The insect venerable's face turned black. To put it bluntly, even if these insects and ants of his have reached the perfect hexu level, they will definitely not be able to last more than a few rounds. But this woman used the power of this high-level Dao weapon to wipe out all the little treasures he had raised for a long time, which made him feel distressed. He was somewhat helpless. With the high-level Dao weapon on him, he was a little afraid to get close to the opponent, so he had to consume the opponent's spiritual power first. When the opponent's spiritual power is exhausted, he will be at your mercy. By then, even this high-level Dao weapon will be his. The situation came to a stalemate. On the other side, the duel between Bai Qi and Elder Baichuan was also in full swing. Bai Qi was also one major realm lower than Elder Baichuan, so he was at a disadvantage everywhere. However, his momentum did not diminish at all, but became more and more fierce as the battle went on, with murderous intent filling the air as if he wanted to tear the heaven and earth apart. Every time the halberd in his hand was swung, it would bring out a blood-red light, as if countless wronged souls were shouting, countless evil spirits were struggling, and endless blood was gushing out. Bang! The swords and halberds of Bai Qi and Elder Baichuan collided continuously, stirring up thousands of waves and making the surrounding space buzz. Boy, if your cultivation can be further improved, you may really be able to defeat me, but you are still far from it now. Baichuan Venerable laughed at Bai Qi, who was pale. Bai Qi's expression remained unchanged, and he said coldly, one step further. Good. As you wish. All I saw was the spirit Qi in the sky madly gathering towards Bai Qi. An extremely violent force erupted from his body. The spirit Qi in the space turbulence is different from that in the outside world and cannot be absorbed at all. Otherwise, this violent spirit Qi will run rampant in your body, destroying your meridians, flesh and blood, and undermining your foundation. But Bai Qi didn't care at all and directly drew the energy into his body, and his cultivation level increased rapidly. Mad man. Elder Baichuan's face turned pale and his figure instantly moved away. The spirit Qi in the space was turbulent. With his strength at the Tao realm, he couldn't suppress it, let alone escape if he was caught in it. Bai Qi, who was at the center of the vortex, had cracks appearing on his body as his cultivation level continued to rise. In less than half a quarter of an hour, the whole person was like a broken porcelain doll, and the body had reached the limit of what it could bear. And his cultivation has already broken through 4 levels and reached the state of Hexu perfection. Chapter 66. One strike to destroy Wen Dao, 5 battles all won. After this battle, if this man doesn't die, he will be the most powerful person in the eastern wilderness in the future. HMPH. With his current injuries, he can only launch one strike at most before his body collapses. Moreover, he dares to absorb spiritual power in the turbulent flow of the void to break through. His foundation is damaged, and it is even a question whether he can break through to the Tao realm. What's there to be afraid of when your foundation is damaged? Have you forgotten the reward he received for being the first place winner of Kill? High-level healing pills, below the Tao realm, can repair any damage. Ahem. What kind of hero is a master if he uses his apprentice's things? Haha, you are still stubborn. The Tao realm cultivators who were watching the battle from all sides felt Bai Qi's rising cultivation level and his severe physical injuries, and they were talking about it. In the turbulent void, the violent spirit Qi vortex had dissipated, and Bai Qi stood there holding a halberd, his aura more than 10 times stronger than before. The elder Baichuan on the opposite side sneered and said, even if you have broken through to Hexu perfection, so what? With your current physical condition, can you still use spirit Qi? You can only attack once at most. Even if I don't attack, your body will explode on its own. Bai Qi's expression remained unchanged, not caring about his own condition at all, and he spoke in a calm tone. One blow is enough. The next blow will send you to hell. Elder Baichuan snorted coldly, and the long sword in his hand trembled slightly with a hum. Suddenly, the sword light became brighter, as if a galaxy was pouring down. The dazzling sword light illuminated the sky in golden red, so bright. Boom. The blood and energy around Bai Qi suddenly began to surge, and a tremendous pressure was released from his body. The entire sky seemed to be shrouded in his aura. Drink. With a loud shout, Bai Qi stomped his feet hard, and the space exploded instantly. A violent force spread out in all directions along his feet. Bai Qi's figure turned into a blurry shadow in midair and then disappeared. Elder Baichuan frowned. This guy actually dodged his attack. Swish. Suddenly, a figure flashed across the sky like lightning. The speed was so fast that it was unbelievable. In just a blink of an eye, Bai Qi's halberd appeared in front of Elder Baichuan. Elder Baichuan's pupils shrank, and he raised his sword to meet the attack without thinking. The two figures collided with each other instantly, and a violent explosion occurred immediately. The violent shock wave swept in all directions, destroying everything around them. The spirit Qi mist in the sky completely enveloped the two people. When this scene reappeared in everyone's eyes, there was only one figure standing in the field, and another was half kneeling on the ground, covering his neck, his eyes full of disbelief. Two broken swords were floating in the void next to them. Then, Ga. The head falls off. The Grand Elder of the Qingzhou White Lotus Branch sect, died. Age. 1.5 chapters. Bai Qi won. Did Baichuan really get killed in one move? This is amazing. He jumped to the Tao realm in 1 second, even with his body in such a bad condition. Is Bai Qi now worthy of being called the number 1 person in the Void realm? While everyone was still discussing, the void fluctuated, and a graceful figure in white walked out of the void gap before Bai Qi. What? Why did this woman come out? Where is Venerable? Don't look at it, it's colder than 100 rivers. It turned out that when everyone's attention was focused on the battlefield where Bai Qi was. With the help of Dao Weapon and Dao Qin, Li Canur actually wiped out all the insects and ants of Insect Venerable. Finally, she killed Insect Venerable in the gap of void space. No corpse was left, as it was swallowed by the tide. She seemed to be fine, but her spiritual power seemed to be greatly depleted and her face turned a little paler. But this makes her temperament even more outstanding. Then, Bai Qi appeared with cracks all over his body. With every step he took, countless violent spirit qi surged out of his body, cutting through the surrounding space and making a clanging sound. Bai Qi was stunned when he saw Li Canur who came out earlier than him. Then, without saying anything, he walked to Great Qian's camp. Sha hurried forward and handed his prize, the high-level healing pill, to Bai Qi. But Bai Qi didn't answer. He didn't need any elixirs. Since he had decided to use this violent spirit qi to break through his own realm, he was naturally prepared. When he suppresses his violent spirit qi, that will be the time for him to enter the Dao realm. A peerless prodigy, a peerless prodigy. How could Great Qian be so worthy of such a talent? In the distance, Zuo Azure Dragon looked up to the sky and sighed, looking in the direction of Great Qian. Not to mention Li Qin'er and Bai Qi. Among Feng Shang, Huo Qubing and Chen Chenji, which one of them is not a capable person? Sha Yanran, Ling Yi, Shang Ling and others who are slightly less capable are also the absolute backbone of each major force and have a promising future. All of them have the potential to enter the realm of Dao. Hong Yi, it's better not to offend Great Qian in the future. If you want to be his enemy, you have to cut the grass and root it out. The black shadow behind Shui Hongyi flashed. In the other direction, Yi Wuliang looked in the direction of Great Qian, his eyes darting around, and then a slap came down on his head. Boy, what are you thinking about here? I'm telling you not to set your sights on them, otherwise, I'll have no choice but to expel you from my sect. The sloppy Taoist said vigilantly. Ever since I adopted this kid, I have caused him a lot of trouble. The key is that this disciple is extremely talented. It takes 3 days of training to fish and 2 days to sift the nets. Even so, he broke through to the perfection of void refining. Not only that, he is also very talented in other aspects. With the skill of talisman crafting, even the great master who crawls out of his grave would be regarded as an expert. With the complete collection of talismans left by his ancestors, he taught himself. Except for a few extremely powerful runes that I have not yet learned, the rest are easy to learn. This kid has at least 1,000,000 talisman papers in his storage ring. Relying on this skill, he became a well-known small rich man, much richer than his Kixing temple. I bought a lot of spirit weapons and armed myself to the teeth. Master, don't worry. How could your disciple, who is so kind, have any bad intentions? He just wants to make friends. Yi Wuliang smiled, and then was greeted with another slap in the face. Don't G laugh in front of me. I can't control my hands. On the other side, Examen Qingzu and Nangong Wuliang had gloomy expressions. They never expected the 2 Dao Realm Masters would actually fall at the hands of 2 Void Realm Masters. This is totally against the rules of cultivation. It's open. It's definitely on. But now is not the time to think about these things. The most important thing is how to deal with the upcoming disputes. They also secretly hid a strong man who was originally prepared to be the last person to support them. But now it seems that I have to use it. Ancestor, take action and suppress them forcefully, otherwise, the 4 major families will lose face today. Nangong Wuliang transmitted the message. The other party is his Nangong family's ancestor, Nangong Yan, who is in the initial stage of peeping into the Dao and can crush him. Moreover, looking at the condition of Bai Qi and Li Canur, they were unable to take any action at all. I can't move. Someone is targeting me. A bitter voice came, causing the 2 men's faces to change suddenly. Damn, is there another powerful person secretly spying on Great Qian? Boom. The 2 were thinking. Fluctuations were heard from 3 spaces at the same time. First, Nangong's miserable body flew out, he was kicked out. Then came Bei Xuanyi, who seemed very calm. However, the slightly disordered breath in his body also showed that he was not calm. The last one was Dongfang Ren. He entered the battlefield at the same time as Examen Bai, but he was the only one who managed to escape as if escaping for his life. His hair was disheveled, his clothes were tattered, and the sword scar on his chest was particularly conspicuous. In the direction of Great Qian, Zhao Gao appeared in a black robe, and there was a presence lingering in the dark. In the distance, Black Tortoise disappeared, mission accomplished, time to go back to sleep. 5 battles, 5 victories. And all 4 of them defeated the strong with the weak. Today's battle will be recorded in the history of King Zhou. Chapter 67. Life and Death Battle, the strongest prodigy in the history of Beishuan family. The Windy City was silent. The alliance of the 4 major families was defeated. Although they did not use their full strength, there were still 6 people in the Dao realm who were dispatched. 6 Dao Realm Masters. What force in King Zhou can produce 6 Dao Realm Masters? Even if the strongest one only asks for perfection. But it is enough to sit in the top few seats in Qingzhou. And Great Qian. Who knows whether they have used their full strength. After this battle, Great Qian became the top force in Qingzhou. Are there any people in the Dao realm in the four major families? Zhao Gao, dressed in black, asked softly. The sound was very soft, but it spread throughout the entire Daifeng city. The faces of the people from several major families looked very ugly. This is what they said to Great Qian before. They originally thought that they would be crushed, but unexpectedly they were crushed instead. Today, we admit defeat. All future grudges will be wiped out. From now on, we will keep out of each other's way. Examen Qingzu said before the furious Nangong Wuliang. When it comes to life and death, face is actually not that important. If he were the Beishuan family, he would not swallow this humiliation. But he is not. There are only two Dao realm people in the Examen family, and both are in the Dao realm, one in the middle stage and one in the late stage. They are totally not enough for Great Qian to defeat with one hand. No, one of them has already died. There is only one person left in the Examen family who has reached the Dao realm. Maybe he will be gone in 2 years. Even if Great Qian knocked out all his front teeth, he would still swallow them. However, it is obvious that Great Qian does not give him this face. Master Examen, my life and death pavilion has already issued a life and death invitation. You are trying to break the rules of my life and death pavilion. A cold female voice came out. Pavilion of life and death, rat. Do you, Great Qian, really want to fight to the death with my four major families? Examen Qingzu had to use the tiger skin of the four major families and said in a deep voice. The four major families, huh? Rat chuckled. You think the four major families are of the same blood? I wonder if others think so. Is it the Dongfang family? Examen Qingzu and Nangong Wuliang frowned at the same time. Why did she say that? TVXQ, who were watching the match from a distance with their mouths grinning, froze in their expressions. He was originally in a good mood, since the person who died was not from his Dongfang family. Although the four major families lost some face, it actually had little impact on the Dongfang family and the Beishuan family. The ones who suffered the losses were Nangong and Examen families. What's more, the reputations of the four major families should be suppressed, otherwise they might be in trouble. But, why the hell did this woman mention her own name? TVXQ said with a stiff upper lip, of course the four major families are of the same blood. If the life and death pavilion is determined to target Patriarch Examen, then it is targeting our four major families. We will not let it go. Haha, since the Dongfang family is so righteous, in 2 days, the life and death pavilion will launch a life and death battle against the Examen family. Do you want to participate? Rat's words shocked Daifeng City. The battle of life and death was a rule of the eastern wilderness tens of thousands of years ago. The rules set by the great principal sacred land. At that time, the eastern wilderness had just separated from the four extremities continent. There were no so-called two great dynasties yet, and there were countless sects and forces. Due to the drastic changes in the continent, resources in the eastern wilderness were extremely scarce, so large-scale fighting often occurred. The most serious one directly affected the entire eastern wilderness. That battle killed off the younger generation in the eastern wilderness. In the end, the great principal sacred land stepped in and forcibly killed several saint realms from both sides, thus resolving the conflict. That's why this rule was established. When it comes to a fight between two major forces, a life and death battle or a life and death holy war can be launched to avoid large-scale disputes. A life and death battle, a life and death holy war. Once it is sent out, there will be a difference between life and death. It is divided into the Battle of Dao Realm and the Battle of Saint Realm. It doesn't matter whether it's a round-robin battle or a one-on-one duel, the fight will only end when one side is completely wiped out or swears to withdraw from the force. The winner survives, the loser disbands his forces. Because there was the great principal sacred land as the referee at that time, as long as one party proposed a life and death battle, the other party could not refuse, otherwise the great principal sacred land would take action personally. However, now, due to the passage of time, the emergence of the two great dynasties, and the fact that the great principal sacred land has not appeared in the world for many years, life and death battles have not occurred for tens of thousands of years. Without the great principal sacred land as the referee, it doesn't matter if you refuse. But this is how you really lose face. It can be regarded as giving others a real excuse to start a war. TVXQ's heart was pounding. Participate, your sister, participate. Do you think I'm stupid? He didn't say anything else. Anyway, you can talk, but you definitely can't be a master. Dongfang family only has 2 people in the Dao realm, it's impossible for them to be used to block the Examen family. His attitude is already very clear. Although the 4 major families are of the same blood, if you really want to fight, then fight the Examen family. Anyway, I haven't offended you, so just don't fight me. Examen Qingzu's face turned pale, he didn't expect Great Qian to be so cruel. Starting a life and death battle would cut off the roots of his Examen family. Without Daojing in charge, even if the Examen family is not completely wiped out, they are already in name only. He also didn't expect that TVXQ would just express their support for him and had no intention of fighting against Great Qian. Then he looked at Nangong Wuliang. Unexpectedly, Nangong Wuliang also looked unnatural. He was actually the one who instigated this incident, but the Examen family was the most unlucky. It was completely beyond his expectations that things would develop to this point. An unknown force actually suppressed his 4 major families. He also had the intention to retreat. Anyway, the Nangong family didn't suffer much loss at the moment. It was just the death of a son and the injury of an ancestor. The son can be born again, and the ancestor's injuries can be healed. But once the life and death battle begins, they will not be able to decide the outcome unless the Beishuan family takes action. But will the Beishuan family take action? He can't gamble. If I speak up and the Beishuan family doesn't take action, wouldn't that be courting death? Simon celebrated with a sad smile. Examen and Nangong are the 2 families with the closest relationship, and many disciples of the 2 families marry each other. Even Nangong Wuliang's wife is his own sister, and his wife is also his own sister. Brothers-in-law are birds of the same forest, but when disaster strikes, they fly away separately. Then he turned his gaze to Bei Xuanshui. Now only Bei Zan can save the Examen family. If the ancestor of Beishuan family came forward, even Zhao Qingzhou would have to give him some face. He is truly one of the top figures in Qingzhou and even in the Eastern Wilderness. The power of Dao Fusion realm can dominate the Eastern Wilderness. But Bei Xuanshui didn't even look at him. The Beishuan family had long intended to break away from the 4 major families. What's more, she can be the master of the Beishuan family, but she cannot be the master of the ancestor. Provincial Governor's Office. Zhao Qingzhou stood up suddenly, his pupils shrank slightly, and looked into the distance. That guy actually showed up, why? Even if 3 of the 4 major families were wiped out, he should not appear. A moment later, the whole city felt it. A powerful pressure appeared, like a god descending, suppressing the entire city. Then a tall young man in black clothes appeared in the air. His eyes sparkled with a light golden glow, and he looked extremely sacred and noble. Beishuan family, Bei Profound Venerable, the strongest genius in the history of Beishuan family. 1250 years old, in the late stage of the Tao, a being with the potential to become a saint. Chapter 68. Wuming appears, Zhao Qingzhou takes action. Let's end this matter here. From today on, the Beishuan family will leave the 4 major families and will not cause trouble for the other major families in the next 1,000 years. After the young man appeared, he spoke. His tone was calm, but full of unquestionable force, as if his words were the laws of nature that no one could disobey. In an instant, the world became quiet. The other 3 families did not expect that North Profound Venerable could say such a thing. The ancestors of the 4 major families had a life and death friendship and jointly established these 4 major families. How could they just break away from them so easily? What's more important is that over the years, the other major families have relied on the deterrent power of the Northern Profound Venerable. Otherwise, how could they contend against the Demon Slayer guards and the governor's mansion with the help of the other Dao realms? Of course, they dared not speak out. Bei Profound Venerable is extremely domineering. In his eyes, strength is everything. The sky is big, the earth is big, but fists are the biggest. Even if my own father objects, I have to ask his fist first. You are all trash, Zhao Qingzhou. I haven't seen you for so many years, and you haven't made a breakthrough yet. You are not worthy of being on par with me. Bei Profound Venerable turned his gaze to the governor's mansion again. Beishuan Venerable has a high level of cultivation. Zhao is ashamed to be inferior to him. A voice as gentle as spring breeze came from the governor's mansion, without any anger at all. HMPH. Northern Profound Venerable snorted coldly and looked at the man from Great Qian. You are all prodigy. I don't want to destroy Qingzu's future. Please retreat. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on Great Qian. How should they respond? This is the first time I show myself in front of everyone. If I back down, my great reputation will be greatly reduced. Zhao Gao, who was at the front, smiled slightly. Beishuan Venerable is well known in the Eastern Wilderness, and it is indeed not in vain, but I, Great Qian, never back down. He then turned to the west and bowed slightly. Please come in, Senior Wuming. From the west of Daifeng City, a middle-aged man with curly hair and a blue robe was seen walking slowly towards this side with his hands behind his back. His steps were slow, like those of an ordinary person. This person does not have any aura, but every step he takes draws the spirit chi of heaven and earth. Countless people in Daifeng City looked at him and their bodies trembled slightly, their faces turned pale, and cold sweat broke out on their backs. It was as if just one look at him would cause thousands of sword intents to come crashing down on them, crushing their wills alive. The next moment, this person took a step forward and appeared in Daifeng City. The moment he appeared, all the swords in Daifeng City were out of control, even those in the storage ring. No matter whether it was an ordinary sword or a spiritual sword, no matter who controlled it, all of them broke away from control and flew into the sky. In an instant, Daifeng City became dark, and the sky was filled with swords, blocking the sky above everyone's heads. Great Qian, Wuming, greets you all. The pupils of all the Taoist realms in Daifeng City shrank slightly. Tao Fusion realm is powerful. Is Great Qian really so unfathomable? When you think he has reached his limit, he always gives you an unexpected surprise. State Maki Fuchu. Zhao Qingzhou suddenly crushed the chess piece in his hand. Even though he was in a very good mood, this sudden change still shocked him. This swordsman is more than just a Tao Fusion realm, his sword intent seems to be able to break through the sky. Otherwise, it would be impossible to mobilize the swords all over the city. Maybe there is semi-saint combat power. Can such a thing really appear in Qingzhou? Even in the eastern wilderness, there are not many sword Dao masters with such skills. Great Qian Emperor Palace. Li Yun looked at the scene in front of him with satisfaction. This nameless thing is the system reward for his 4th month of sign-in. He has reached the perfection realm of Rong Dao and possesses the supreme sword body. If nothing unexpected happens, he can fight in the saint realm and among the semi-saints, he can be considered invincible. Condensing the rudiments of rules and forming a domain is called saint realm. And above the eastern wilderness, above the Rong Dao, and below the saint realm, there is an additional realm, the half-saint realm. Those who have initially comprehended the power of rules but have not yet made use of them and have not yet condensed their own domain are called semi-saints. North Profound Venerable looked solemn. He felt a tremendous pressure. Could this man possibly have the ability to kill him? The most important thing is that he can feel that this person has strong vitality, less than 100 years old. Could it be that the laws of the eastern wilderness had changed during the 2 years he had been in seclusion? Breakthrough becomes simple. But Zhao Qingzhou is still in the initial stage of Rong Dao. He entered the Void Realm at the age of 18, entered the Dao Realm at the age of 36, broke through the Dao of Peeping at the age of 136, and even broke through the Dao Fusion Realm when he was less than 500 years old. Now it is over 1,200 years old and has entered the Dao Fusion Realm late stage. For more than 1,000 years, he has always been invincible among his peers and invincible in the same realm. Even the prodigy of the 2 dynasties and 6 sects in the eastern wilderness, he never took them seriously. Where are you from? Qingzhou will never hide your existence. Dao Fusion Realm strongmen are not allowed to cross the border privately. Are you provoking the Divine Phoenix dynasty? Zhao Qingzhou, as a governor of a state, are you going to watch like this? North Profound Venerable said in a deep voice. He has always spoken with strength and made friends with boxing. But that was when he had the upper hand. If force is not enough to solve the problem, then we have to use reason. Of course, the gap in strength was too big, and reasoning wouldn't work, so he needed to find an ally. Unfortunately, Great Qian doesn't reason with him. Wuming didn't say anything. The negotiation issue was not his concern. He just wanted to use force to deter others. I saw Zhao Gao next to me step forward, facing the governor's mansion, and said. Great Qian does not want to be an enemy of the governor, so the governor should not make mistakes. I, Great Qian, do not want to overpower others by force. It was the 4 major families who took action first. There is nothing wrong with us resisting. The Examen family is the target of Great Qian's life and death pavilion. I, Great Qian, am not such a domineering person. I will decide life and death if I disagree with you. But if you offend my Great Qian, you must apologize, so let's add a Dongfang family. In addition, my Great Qian sword has been drawn. Senior, please take it. Regardless of life or death, this matter will be over. TVXQ. Dongfang Ren. What the hell does this have to do with my Dongfang family? It was clearly him who provoked you. But no one dared to speak. TVXQ looked eagerly in the direction of the governor's mansion. A voice came from the governor's mansion. Sir, how about letting the Dongfang family go, and using the Nangong family as an exchange? Nangong Wuliang. Nangong Yan. Nangong Da. Zhao Qingzhou, how dare you, an old man, bully my Nangong family like this? Nangong Yan, who had never taken action from the beginning to the end, was furious and appeared to question the governor's mansion. There was no sound coming from the governor's mansion, but there was a flash of light at an extremely fast speed. Nangong Yan had no time to react before she was pierced in the chest, and a large amount of blood gushed out. Nangong Yan died. Died in less than 2 chapters. There is a chess piece in the stream of light. Just one strike was enough to take the life of a powerful peeping Taoist. No one expected that the governor would actually take action personally and go straight for killing people. While the onlookers were still in a daze, Zhao Gao laughed out loud. Okay, since the governor has spoken, I, Great Qian, will give him a favor and let the Nangong family take over. Next, please let Senior Bei Zan take the sword. Chapter 69. One sword defeats Rong Dao, Examen Bei falls into the trap. Bei Profound Venerable's expression froze, knowing that he still couldn't escape and had to fight. However, although his strength is not as good as that of the curly-haired middle-aged man, he should not suffer a crushing defeat. The two did not escape into the void. Wu Ming put his left hand behind his back and waved his right hand. Swords fell from the sky, isolating all the people around the two of them and forming an enclosed space. The combined might of tens of millions of swords frightened Northern Profound Venerable. Even with Wu Ming's modest attempt, he was not sure he could break the sword formation space. This is the 10,000 swords formation. Without a saint weapon, it is impossible to break it. Wu Ming said. North Profound Venerable nodded. He has understood. I will only strike with one sword. Whether you can block it or not, today's matter is over. After Wu Ming finished speaking, he waved his right hand, and an iron sword appeared in his hand among tens of millions of swords. North Profound Venerable looked intently. This is just an ordinary sword, not even up to the standard of a law weapon. Just a mortal weapon. He felt humiliated. He actually wanted to defeat me with just an ordinary sword. Did he treat me, the Northern Profound Venerable, as trash? How much do you look down on me? Bei Profound Venerable moved his mind, and in a flash he changed into a new outfit. He was wearing a black armor, a black helmet, black cloud boots, and holding a huge shield in his hands. His aura was like a tiger descending from the mountains, making the world pale in comparison. All his equipment were Dao weapons, and the giant shield was a high-level Dao weapon. He had spent all his savings to buy it. With this fully armed equipment, I think it should be enough to block this attack. It's just an ordinary sword. Even if you chop it millions of times, it can't break your shield. Wu Ming did not speak, but waited until the Northern Profound Venerable was fully prepared before taking action. There wasn't any great momentum, he just swung the sword casually, and even the space didn't change at all. Like a sword swung by a mortal. However, this ordinary sword made the hairs of a late-stage master like Northern Profound Venerable stand on end. He felt the sensation of death. The last time he felt threatened by death was the time before. Rule. He felt a mysterious power in this sword, a power that only Saint Realm could control. It is also the state he pursues all his life. Although he believed that he was extremely talented, he still had doubts as to whether he could break through the Saint Realm in his lifetime. After all, it is too difficult to comprehend the rules, and it is also too difficult to break through the Saint Realm. He hasn't even completed the journey to the realm of Dao. And the person in front of him has already started on the road to Saint Realm. Of course, none of this matters. The important thing is that he feels like he is going to get cold. Then the spiritual power in his body surged desperately, and he almost shrank into the armor. The giant shield released a golden light, completely wrapping him up. But even so, he still felt it was not enough. Even with a full set of Dao weapons, he couldn't block such a sword. This is completely beyond the scope of Dao realm. How can Dao weapon resist it? Blood burning technique, soul burning technique, life burning technique. Using 3 techniques simultaneously, Northern Profound Venerable burned his own blood, soul, and lifespan at the same time. The aura on his body increased by more than 3 times. Finally, he was given some confidence to hold on. It seemed like a long time had passed, but in fact it was only a moment before Wu Ming swung his sword. Suddenly, a white dot appeared in North Profound Venerable's sight. It was a flash of sword light. The white spot continued to grow larger, and in an instant the entire space shone brightly, piercing deep into the soul of North Profound Venerable. In the outside world, no one could see the scene inside clearly because of the obstruction of thousands of swords, not even Zhao Qingzhou who was from the same Dao fusion realm. Suddenly, millions of swords dispersed and scattered towards Daifeng City, turning into a rain of swords that flew towards their respective owners under inexplicable guidance. The only person who did not receive his sword was a shirtless young man in a blacksmith shop in the west of the city. The swords dispersed, and the first person to appear in people's sight was the curly-haired Wu Ming with his hands behind his back and a nonchalant look on his face. Then came the extremely miserable North Profound Venerable on the opposite side. Many eyes were filled with surprise and a little sympathy. At this moment, the black armor of the Northern Profound Venerable was broken, and his helmet was knocked aside. There were countless fragments on the ground in front of him, and it could be barely seen that it was a shield. The original headband was also broken, and her long hair was very messy. Blood was oozing from the corners of his mouth, his breath was weak, and he no longer had the domineering aura he had before. But, luckily, he's still alive. It can also be said that Wu Ming held back. Although Profound Venerable Bei was arrogant, he was not malicious at all. He could indeed be considered a genius, and his crime did not deserve the death penalty. What's more important is that his impact when alive is greater than when dead. Great Qian does not want to enter the eastern wilderness yet. It is not the right time yet. The top combat power is insufficient, the backbone combat power also needs to grow, and the grassroots armaments also need to be greatly improved. Now we are just planting a seed in the eastern wilderness. When the Great Qian army conquers the eastern wilderness in the future, that seed will sprout. Bei Zan family, retreat. Bei Profound Venerable spat out another mouthful of blood, and left the place with his people. His back looked extremely embarrassed. Master Examen, are you ready? As soon as the person over there left, the voice of the rat was heard over this side. Simon celebrated with a sad smile. The winner takes it all. The four major families became Qingzu's history from today. And this once high-ranking head of the Examen family was doomed to die from the moment he received the life and death notice. Master, fight them. Several elders beside Examen Qingzu said angrily. That's right, Patriarch, the ancestor is still at home. We must rush out and go back to pass on the message at the risk of our lives. Yes, there are still many resources in the mansion. The Examen family may have a chance to make a comeback in the future. We can also let the ancestor hide in secret and hunt down Great Qian's prodigy. After all, the ancestor is also in the Dao realm, and he is about to die. He doesn't need to care about his reputation. Even death cannot let them rest in peace. Just as they were filled with righteous indignation and discussing countermeasures. A familiar voice came over. Celebrate, boy, why haven't you solved the problem yet? There's a Dao realm robbing the house, quickly solve the problem here and follow me to chase the enemy. Shit. Examen Bei's figure appeared in Daifeng City, next to Examen Qingzu. Following behind were several elders in the Hexu realm. At this moment, all the senior members of the Examen family gathered in Daifeng City. They were originally arresting a thief from the demon cult, and killed several void refining members, but they still let the Dao realm member escape with a void refining kid. It's exactly in this direction. I was wondering if the trouble here has been solved, so I decided to solve it. But I didn't expect that the atmosphere here seemed a little wrong. Examen Bei looked at a familiar corpse on the ground and the strange looks from the surrounding Dao realm masters, and he already felt something was wrong. Isn't this Nangong Yan, peeping into the Dao realm? What? Who the hell did this? A trace of despair flashed across the faces of Examen Qingzu and the elders. There's no chance of making a comeback. They've all walked into a trap. The Examen family is gone. Then, under the shocked gazes of the group of people in the Void Realm and Examen Bei who came later, Examen Qingzu knelt down in the direction of Great Qian and begged. All the senior members of the Examen family are here. Please do whatever you want. Please leave some bloodline for the Examen family. You don't need to have cultivation talent. Just live a peaceful life. Chapter 70. Curtain Call, Li Yun returns to Qingzhou. The battle between Great Qian and the four major families has come to an end. The scenes that happened today would make the many cultivators who were present at the scene brag about it for 100 years. Whether it is the four major families or Great Qian, there are frequent Dao realms on both sides. As well as Li Keener's void refining and Bai Qi's forcible breakthrough in the turbulent void and his combined void slash, the demeanor of the two was deeply engraved in the hearts of many people. There was also the presence of Northern Profound Venerable, a Dao Fusion realm master at the top of Qingzhou, who was present at the scene. His domineering and arrogant attitude formed a sharp contrast with his embarrassing escape in the end. Or maybe Zhao Mu killed Nangong's spy in one blow. There was also the mysterious Dao Fusion realm swordsman from Great Qian who defeated Profound Venerable with one sword. When he entered the city, he attracted swordsmen all over the city, and his power was unmatched in Qingzhou. And finally, there was a scene where the heads of dozens of Hexu and two Dao realm people from the Examen and Nangong families were neatly arranged. All of them shocked people's hearts. Especially the last one. The way the life and death pavilion kills people is simply an art. For the first time, people saw the assassination operation of the life and death pavilion openly. A team of 12 people, two Dao Shihi Shu, killed all the people from the two families in a cup of tea, including two Dao realm masters. Examen Bei who asked about late stage and Nangong De who asked about Yuanmen. Since then, there are no more four major families in Qingzhou. The Examen family is already in name only. The Nangong family only has one Dao realm master and several Hexu ancestors left, and will eventually follow in the footsteps of the Examen family. The Dongfang family moved closer to the governor's office and was suspected to have been recruited by the authorities long ago. The Beishuan family gathered their power and stayed indoors. The sudden appearance of the strange force Great Qian caused the four major families to fall apart, and two major families withdrew from the historical stage of Eastern Wilderness. The Prodigy and Empty Void shows in the Windy City were also cancelled for this reason. No one objected to this. Of course, what made these people even more angry was that the damn second pavilion master of Myriad Manifestations Pavilion refused to refund their gambling money because all their bets on the Empty Void field were wrong. Do you think this is human language? Hundreds of thousands of people gathered to seek justice, but they didn't expect that the black-hearted second pavilion master actually took out the original betting slip. There is a very small option above. The Empty Void Prodigy battle is cancelled and there is no championship. Odds. 1 to 10,000. This is outrageous. It turns out that all businessmen are dishonest. Of course, more people regretted not seeing this at the beginning. Otherwise, buy him a spirit stone or two. 10,000 times. What kind of business can generate such high profits? Dot 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 dot. What a great show, great Qian, what a great Qian. In the distance, Zuo Azure Dragon said in shock. Situ Qingshan, who has always been very good at managing her facial expressions, also showed a look of surprise. Originally, she was the brightest star in Qingzhou. But, after today, things will be different. As a woman, she is not as good as Li Qin'er. In the same realm, she is not as good as Bai Qi. A day ago, she was still confident that she could fight Bai Qi on equal terms. Now it's probably difficult to even split it 20-80. Once he resolves the hidden dangers in his body, that will be the time for him to enter the realm of Taoism. If she doesn't break through then, she can only watch him. Then her gaze turned to the governor's residence. Today's result was beyond everyone's expectations. Their governor must be very angry now. Today's result was completely different from his expectations, although the four major families were in name only. But in fact, to the governor's office and Qingzhou, the demise of the Examen family and the Nangong family is simply insignificant. What matters is that the Northern Profound Venerable was born, and he is alive. Of course, more importantly, is the emergence of this great Qian, and his uncontrollable strength and unimaginable potential. Just that sword cultivator was enough to make great Qian look down upon Qingzhou, and even occupy a place in the entire eastern wilderness. The four major families are gone, but a product that far exceeds the four major families has emerged. This is not what the governor's office wants to see, and it can also be said that this is not what Shen Feng wants to see. Since the Divine Phoenix doesn't want to see it, the Demon Slayer guards don't want to see it either. Next, it will depend on how the Lord of Guards and the governor of the state respond. Of course, no matter how we deal with it, we cannot do without the support of strength. Left Guard Master, I will be in seclusion for a while. You will have to make the decision on all matters concerning the Demon Slayer guard. If you are undecided, you can go to the man surnamed Wang. He may give you a different idea. If there's any problem that can't be solved, just push him out to block the knife. He has someone behind him anyway, so he shouldn't die. After saying this, Situ Qingshan jumped out of the tavern and disappeared into the crowd. Azure Dragon on the left laughs wryly. That kid Wang is quite out of touch, how could he have any different ideas? However, his identity can be used. Since he came here to gain experience, his father should at least arrange a strong Taoist master to protect him. All the great Qian people have left. Many young powerful people in the virtual realm have embarked on their own paths. Qingzhou is very big. Even though Prodigy will attract most of the strong people, there are still many people who are not burdened by the statement. Fang Xiong left alone without taking Xia Yanren with him. Because he was going to a very dangerous place, even with Mu Lao by his side, he had no way to protect Xia Yanren's safety. Bai Qi led his new disciples and went in another direction. He needs to find his own path to enlightenment, resolve the hidden dangers in his body, and train disciples, at least until he has the ability to protect himself. Li Qin'er put away the Dao weapon Guqin and headed east. She was going to cross 3 states and head to Lingzhou, where there was a sect called Celestial Melody Sect. One of the 6 great sects. She felt that the Taoist music skills she obtained from the small tower and this Taoist music instrument might have something to do with Tianyan Valley. Perhaps her path to enlightenment is also within the Celestial Melody Sect. However, it is separated by 3 states, which is a very long distance, so the journey will probably not be peaceful. Ling Yi and Shang Ling each carried their own swords and searched for their own paths to Sword Dao. Wu Ming left a word for each of them. Ling Yi has the strongest Sword Dao talent, but he lacks a sword that suits him. When he finds this sword, that is when he will condense his sword heart. Shang Ling's Sword Dao talent is slightly inferior to Ling Yi, but his resilience is stronger. His future lies in battle, between life and death. Such sword talent is the most fierce, but also the most dangerous path. If he is not careful, he will die without a burial place. Chen Qingzi and Huo Qubing brought the remaining few people back to Great Qian. They were generals leading the army. Although their personal fighting power was not weak, they could perform better in the army. When they come to Qingzhou again, it will be the time when they ride horses to trample Qingzhou. The Pavilion of Life and Death dealt with the 2 major families, and then hid in the dark again. The mission assigned to them by His Majesty has not yet been completed. This time, they want to spread the reputation of the Life and Death Pavilion throughout the eastern wilderness. Wu Ming did not leave, but settled down in Daifeng City, next to a blacksmith shop in the west of the city. He owed someone a sword, so he wanted to return it to him. Of course, except for the governor Zhao Qingzhou, no one knew that such a great god actually stayed in Daifeng City. At the same time, a hazy figure descended on Qingzhou, with royal aura emanating from his entire body, as if surrounded by thousands of divine kingdoms. Great Qian Emperor Monarch, Li Yun, comes to Qingzhou again after his last trip to Yinyang sect. Chapter 71. Falling God Plane, Mysterious Shadow. Qingzhou is located at the westernmost part of the eastern wilderness. To the south is the rival of the Shenfeng dynasty, the Changning Empire. The eastern wilderness is divided into north and south. Many of the states bordering the other two countries are connected, but Qingzhou is the only one located in the extreme west. To the east is Baozhou, the state occupied by the Xiongxian sect. It is far richer than Qingzhou, and has never paid much attention to remote areas like Qingzhou. To the north is the monster state occupied by monster race. Although great monsters are often born, they rarely come to Qingzhou. The entrance to the eastern wilderness from Great Qian is the extreme western desert to the west of Qingzhou, which is the edge of Qingzhou. Further west is the Sea of Nothingness, which is extremely vast, much larger than the eastern wilderness. The entire eastern wilderness is surrounded by it, and the eastern wilderness is like a huge island. To the west of the Sea of Nothingness is said to be the western border of the Four Extremities continent. But no one has ever been able to cross the Sea of Nothingness, not even the Saint Realm. It is said that during the period when the Four Extremities continent had just separated, there were still many people from the three lands staying in the eastern wilderness. One of the Saint King-level warriors tried to force his way across the Sea of Nothingness, but less than a year after he entered, his life plate was shattered, and he must have died in the Sea of Nothingness. For tens of thousands of years, the farthest that people from the eastern wilderness have explored into the Sea of Nothingness is no more than 3,000 miles. Those who ventured beyond this distance all died inexplicably. To the south of Qingzhou, there is a buffer zone between it and Changning that no one can enter. It is called the Fallen God Plain. This Fallen God Plain has existed since the time before the Four Extremities split, and it is impossible to determine how long ago it was. It is said that a god once fell from the sky and a drop of his blood fell here. The laws of God cover an area of 30,000 miles around. Within 30,000 miles, all humans and animals were extinct. Even after countless years, people have not been able to enter it. This is also the reason why there is no communication between Qingzhou and Changning. If you want to go from Changning to Qingzhou, you need to go around Baozhou. But everyone else has gone to Baozhou, why would they come to your remote Qingzhou? Li Yun came to Qingzhou this time just for the Fallen God Plain. To be precise, it was for that trace of God's law. If we could capture this trace of law, bring it into the Great Qian, and throw it into the secret realm for people to comprehend, wouldn't that lead to a breakthrough in cultivation very quickly? But this is also a hypothesis. With his cultivation level, he is only in the middle stage of the Tao, still far from the divine realm, and even the saint realm is still a long way off. He may not be able to successfully bring back this trace of the power of the law. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't even come and it would be impossible for him to succeed. However, he has help. It's not that there is no chance. He tricked the small tower in the Imperial mausoleum into coming here. He already had some guesses about the origin of the small tower. According to the old ancestor of the seventh vein, a god-level being once appeared in the eastern wilderness, and that god-level being most likely came from the original land of the 100 Kingdoms. The small tower is the divine weapon from the divine realm. It was obvious that Xiaoda was waiting for something when he returned to the land of 100 nations. Li Yun guessed that he might be waiting for the reincarnation of that god or something. After all, anyone who reaches the Tao realm can disintegrate into another world and reincarnate. As long as the soul is not completely destroyed, anyone in the saint realm can possess another body or reunite with the body. The power of the gods is unimaginable. It should be very easy to be reborn by a drop of blood or reincarnate. If what he guessed was correct, the little stone was the reincarnation of that god. Li Kener's amazing talent may have something to do with this. And are his brothers and sisters in the Great Qian royal family also related to this divine realm? So many mysterious people gathered together, no one would believe that there was no reason. What about yourself? Is my arrival related to this god? Of course, Li Yun felt that it shouldn't matter much. The god should be very powerful, but he was still a long way from being able to create such a system. Even those big guys who controlled the starry sky and met in the Void Trade Fair, he felt that they were still far inferior to them. Li Yun then made a slash and a crack appeared in front of him. He moved and disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he had already arrived in front of the Fallen God Plain. Looking around, it's flat land without any buildings, hills or mountains. Not even a blade of grass grew. It seems to be isolated from the world. Li Yun could feel a very terrifying aura wandering in the plain, turning this place into a dead end. Brother Ta, are you sure? Li Yun chuckled. Beside him, a small tower suddenly appeared, level with his shoulders, standing in the void. The law of the fallen god, it is not difficult to obtain it as long as you don't hold this tower back. But can you do what you promised me? Said the little tower in a childish voice. Don't joke. Okay. Let's do it. The master brought me here back then, and I asked the master to take it in. But the master said that this drop of residual blood has given birth to a trace of will and a glimmer of hope for resurrection, so he gave it a chance. The little tower shook its body, as if nodding. Li Yun's eyes twitched slightly. A drop of blood can give birth to thoughts. Is this the realm of God? I hope the car won't overturn if I go in like this. Why does it feel like the little tower is a little unreliable? But he was not a hesitant person, and he had many ways to save his life. Even if the small tower was trapped, he was confident that he could escape unscathed. Let's go. Li Yun took the lead and took a step forward and entered the plane. The environment changed suddenly, and being outside of it and being inside of it were two completely different feelings. The sky became dark and visibility was less than 100 meters. Li Yun raised his eyebrows slightly. Boundary. This divine law actually formed an invisible barrier that could not be felt unless one entered it. Damn, this guy is growing up so fast. Xiaoda appeared silently beside Li Yun. Oh, what do you mean? It means we might be in trouble. Xiaoda's voice weakened a little, as if he lacked confidence. This fellow had only just gained consciousness tens of thousands of years ago, and was not yet fully awake. At that time, the power of the law was extremely violent. Anyone who entered would be served by the big whip of the law. But now, he can actually control the power of the law, which means that he already has a trace of divine power. I just don't know how far he has developed now. If he is fully conscious, then our trip would be in vain. We might even die in there. Li Yun looked at him helplessly. It's really unreliable. At this time, a voice that could not be distinguished between male and female was heard. I'm sorry for not welcoming you, my distinguished guest. Then a shadow appeared in front of the man in the tower. It is called a phantom because he really is a phantom. It looks like a Taoist-shaped outline formed by fog. There is no entity, no expression, you can't tell whether it is male or female, and you can't tell whether it is happy, angry, sad or joyful. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 72. Terrible Speculations, Pure Divine Thoughts. The man in the tower were looking at the phantom, and the phantom was also looking at the man in the tower. The aura of this distinguished guest sounds familiar. Have we met before? Suddenly, the phantom looked at the small tower and said. Xiaoda was speechless. Damn, I just came here for a stroll and didn't even go in, and you could recognize me. Yes, we are old friends. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Do you still owe me money? Xiaoda said hurriedly. It felt that this idea might not be very smart, and it didn't know whether it could be fooled. Although I don't know what you mean, I remember that I had a bad impression of you. You are not a good person. No, you are not a good tower. The phantom said with some vigilance. Xiaoda. Li Yun suddenly interrupted. Who are you? The shadow fell silent. Then a manic and confused voice came out. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? The entire space was shaking violently, as if it would collapse at any time. A huge oppressive force rose from the phantom and pressed towards the man in the tower. This pressure far exceeds the Tao realm, and even exceeds the Saint realm. A divine light suddenly fell from the small tower, protecting itself and Li Yun beside it. Don't talk nonsense, kid. Can't you see that I've been behaving myself? If this guy really gets violent, I don't think anyone in the four extremities can control him now. The little tower said angrily. Although it is a divine weapon, it has no owner yet and cannot exert its full power. If you encounter such a thing, you can only avoid it. Who I am. The phantom roared madly, as if it had gone mad. No matter how it shouted, the sound did not weaken at all. Instead, it became clearer and louder. It lasted for a quarter of an hour, the phantom still did not stop, the space became more and more distorted, and the divine light on the small tower was flickering constantly. Damn it, it's getting cold, it's getting cold. Xiaoda was a little anxious. If it continues like this, even if it does not destroy, it will be suppressed here. Sooner or later, its own divinity will be wiped out, and the small stones and many existences in the tower will also perish. That is unacceptable. Boy, I will break open the space later, and you and I will try to cross the void to see if we can slip out, otherwise you and I. Xiaoda said to Li Yun seriously. It's okay. Li Yun stopped the words behind Xiaoda. This place has been imprisoned by the laws of God for hundreds of thousands of years. The space is extremely tough and difficult to break. Even if it is broken, the laws of the barrier here restrict us. I am afraid that it will be difficult for us to walk in the turbulent space. We may get lost in it, which is not worth the loss. Although he is a consciousness born from divine blood, he cannot leave this place. I guess he wants to go out and take a look. Then Li Yun looked at the shadow and spoke loudly. Senior Tian, you have been trapped here for a long time. I have a way to get you out of this barrier. You will have plenty of time to find the answers you want in the future. Can you take me out? As soon as Li Yun said this, a phantom instantly appeared beside him and the void stopped shaking. Li Yun smiled and nodded. Then do you know who I am? Although the shadow had no face, Li Yun felt that he was looking at him nervously. Li Yun shook his head and said, you have to find the answer yourself, but I am curious. Since you call yourself Tian, you must have some memories. The shadow took a few steps back and shook his head. I have been here since I became conscious, and I remember only this and an old man coming here. Until 100,000 years ago, I felt that something had changed in this world, and two words suddenly appeared in my memory, Heavenly Tao. I didn't know what it was, but it seemed to be engraved in my origin, so I named it Heavenly Tao. From then on, a memory would appear in my mind from time to time. There was a starry sky and countless densely packed human figures. These memories were so huge and complicated that I didn't know which one was true and which one was false. They often tortured me to the point that I was almost dying, so I sealed all these memories away. Shouta. Hiss. Li Yun also suppressed the shock in his heart. He suddenly had a terrible guess. According to Shouta, 100,000 years ago, a god suddenly came from the starry sky, broke into the Four Extremities continent, and used his great magic power to split the Four Extremities continent apart. Logically speaking, the Four Extremities continent is a fairly large world with a heavenly Tao. The foreign gods that have crossed the border have disrupted the natural operation of the world, so the heavenly Tao will naturally intervene. But the heavenly Tao never appeared from beginning to end. There is only one reason. There was something wrong with the way of heaven, and it had no ability to stop that god. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, an unknown god fell, and a drop of his blood fell into the Four Extremities eastern wilderness. This is by no means a coincidence. Maybe that god was killed by the heavenly Tao of the Four Extremities, or maybe they died together. Shouta also remembered what his master said when he left Four Extremities. The Four Extremities have no heaven, which is a blessing for the Four Extremities, but also a curse for the Four Extremities. Did the master know at that time that the heavenly Tao of the Four Extremities was no longer there? So is this phantom the way of heaven or the divine realm? Did his master know about this tens of thousands of years ago? Hey, kid, can you do it? Let's not talk about his questionable origins. With his current divine power, I can't contain him with my thin arms and legs. The faint sound of the small tower reached Li Yun's ears. If I'm not mistaken, he is indeed the divine thought born from that drop of divine blood, but he may have been affected by the will of the Four Extremities heavenly Tao. Now he is considered the body integration of the Four Extremities heavenly Tao and that divine realm master. We should stay away from such a guy. Who knows when he will wake up and slap us to death. Li Yun said calmly, it doesn't matter. Since I can take him out of here, I naturally have a way to control him. His vision is now not limited to the Four Extremities world. Having been to the Void Trade Fair 3 times, his horizons have been greatly broadened. Even in the realm of gods there are differences in strength. The heavenly Tao strength of a world like the Four Extremities is only low level in the divine realm. Then the realm of this god cannot be high. Next time I will go to the Void Trade Fair to find some useful things. Since he has been waiting here for hundreds of thousands of years, he doesn't care about such a short time. Besides, I really can't take him away now. I thought the small tower was okay, but I didn't expect it to be just a showpiece. The toughest thing about my body is my mouth. No, he doesn't even have AF ******* G mouth. Senior Tien, please wait for 2 months. After 2 months, I can take you out. Li Yun said to the phantom, his tone calm. The shadow nodded. He had no doubt about the truthfulness of what the man said. Since he was born, he has never come into contact with other people, and his consciousness is as pure as a blank sheet of paper. I'll send you out. Come pick me up in 2 months. I want to see what I am. The phantom said seriously. Then he waved his right hand, gray fog rolled up, and the figures of the man and the tower disappeared into the distance in an instant. At the moment of leaving the barrier, the small tower trembled and a word came out. Hey, Tien, you really owe me money. I'll give you a ride and settle the interest when we get out. Call out. As soon as the words fell, the figures of the man and the tower disappeared into the barrier. Inside the barrier, the shadow fell into deep thought. Do I really owe him money? Money. What is money? What is interest? Chapter 73. The terrifying demon Venerable, the 6th princess enters the palace. Qingzhou, the Windy City. 2 extremely low-key figures entered the city, and the aura was extremely oppressive. The 2 people were Li Qingxing and Sha Bai who escaped from Examin's house. They still don't know how they were exposed. I just thought that a subordinate accidentally leaked the information or that the ancestor of the Examin family really acted on a whim. They never imagined that someone had stabbed them in the back. It was just that the situation was so urgent when they were discovered that they just tried to escape. Even the people in Examin's family did not expect that there were still people who had not escaped and were hiding and preparing to steal the house. They really suffered heavy losses on this trip. The remnants of the demon cult in Qingzhou were wiped out in one battle, leaving only Sha Bai in the Dao realm. There is no one in the Hexu realm anymore. The remaining minions in the virtual realm are of little use. The only thing to be thankful for is that they plundered a lot of resources from the Examin family's treasure house, which is enough to cultivate a group of Hexu realm masters, and Lord Shabi will be able to make further progress in the Dao realm. My injuries this time should heal soon, and I don't have to worry about lack of resources before I merge with the void. Damn Examin family. Thinking of this, Li Qingxing was really angry. What was his status in his previous life? Even if all the wealth of the Examen family was placed in front of him, he would not even look at it. What's wrong with taking a little of their stuff for yourself? And there is that old guy from Zhangzong. All his merits and deeds from his previous life were destroyed, not even a single treasure was left. He also invited people from all over the world to fight against the evil cult together. The evil cult was forced to become like rats crossing the street. In this world of cultivation where the strong prey on the weak, can a cultivator have anything good? The demon cult is simply doing openly what those righteous people do in private. Whoever is not seeking spiritual practice is selfish. Young master, we're here. Shabi said somewhat respectfully. Originally, he was not very fond of this young master who was only in the void refining realm and suddenly appeared. But this time, if the young master had not taken action at the end, he might really have died at the hands of Examen Bey. The void refining realm can save people from the asking Dao realm. Who can do that? Even though he was beaten like a dead dog, he still ran away in the end, right? He must be the first person in four extremities. With a young master like this, how can the demon cult not prosper? The two entered the house. There was someone waiting inside, Yin-Yang sect Saintess Shuiyu. Miss Shui, this trip didn't start well. I guess we need to recuperate for a while. What was the dispute between Great Qian and the four major families like yesterday? Was it quite embarrassing? Li Qian Xing Zuo Zai Lizu Wei Shang, Duan Qi Li Bei Cha. Shuiyu looked at Li Qingxing with complicated eyes and spoke slowly. It's very embarrassing. Li Qingxing nodded. This was within his expectations. Even though his third brother found so many prodigy from somewhere and had the support of the Dao realm behind him, he would still be far from being able to defeat the four major families in Qingzhou that were deeply rooted. Although he sat on the throne in that small place, his vision was still not broad enough and he didn't know the background of the four major families. There are no four major families in Qingzhou now. Shuiyu said shockingly. As expected. What the hell? What did you say? Li Qingxing spat out a mouthful of tea and stood up suddenly. The old man in the Taoist realm next to him also stared at him. Shuiyu smiled bitterly. I said that there are no four major families in Qingzhou now. The Examen family's Hexu and the head of the family all died yesterday. The news of the Nangong family being exterminated should come out today. The Dongfang family has already taken refuge with the governor's mansion. The Beishuan family gathered their forces and announced the closure of the government. Li Qingxing suppressed his shock and asked in a deep voice, what happened? Tell me in detail. Was it the governor or the demon slayer who took action? Shuiyu shook her head and told the story again from the beginning. The two people who were listening opened their mouths wider and wider. When Sha Bai heard Li Kanur's question about void refining, he couldn't help but glance at the young master. Damn, I just thought too much. The young master finally achieved perfection in void refining but was beaten like a dead dog by others. What a bullshit number one in four extremities. That damn woman was able to destroy Wen Dao in the middle stage of void refining. Isn't she the best in the starry sky? And there is Bai Qi, empty void, who was not at a disadvantage in the battle with Wen Dao, and broke through the Hexu level and killed Wen Dao in a single move, leaving the young master far behind. When they heard that the Northern Profound Venerable had appeared, the two looked at each other. Li Qingxing had heard of the name of Bei Profound Venerable in his previous life. He had achieved enlightenment at the age of 36, which made him a rare genius. And Shabi is more familiar with the Profound Venerable of the North. That is the power of Rongdao late stage. Even the governor's office and the demon slaying guard were suppressed by him. That Wuming could actually defeat him with just one move. Li Qingxing's face was gloomy. Although Wuming is from the Dao fusion realm, his attainments in Sword Dao are extremely high. In terms of Sword Dao, I'm afraid that only the Saint realm of the Sword sect in Eastern Wilderness can defeat him. If my guess is correct, this person has the strength to fight against Saint realm. Ah, isn't that comparable to Lord Demon Venerable? Shabi blurted out. After these words were spoken, Li Qingxing's face became even gloomier. Although he did not see Wuming take action with his own eyes, based on Shuiyu's description alone, he was afraid that he was still a little bit short of that in his previous life. A slight mistake can lead to a huge mistake. Who the hell is his third brother? Even such a being can join Great Qian. Li Qingxing's back teeth were almost broken. He also plans to accumulate money in the Eastern Wilderness for 3 years, then return to the Land of the Hundred Kingdoms, seize the position of the third brother, and then explore what secrets the Land of the Hundred Kingdoms has. Shuiyu, I can't take you back to Yin-Yang sect for the time being. Wait until Master Shatton and I recover from our injuries, then we will take you back to Yin-Yang sect for revenge. Li Qingxing said to Shuiyu. Shuiyu shook her head. Young master, that's not necessary. I've already escaped from Yin-Yang sect. If they can't find me, just forget it. Impossible. Even if it weren't for you, the Yin-Yang sect is wanted for me. This matter cannot be let go like this. It is settled. Li Qingxing said without any doubt. Sha Bai also interrupted and said, Young master is talking about the wanted young master of our demon sect. The small yin-yang sect, destroy him, is just a small force supported by the Shungshan sect. Yu did not refute anymore. It's good to be able to take revenge. Especially the sect leader Shen Kui, who wanted to use himself as a cauldron to prepare for a breakthrough in the Dao realm in the future. He is not a good person. Great Qian. The small tower returned to the imperial tomb. Li Yun returned to the imperial palace. As soon as he entered the palace, he met someone who surprised him a little. The sixth princess, Li Yuehua. Sixth sister, how can you have the leisure to enter the palace? After the grand court meeting, the sixth princess handed Lingyi to Li Yun and never left the mansion again. However, Li Yun could feel that the sixth sister's cultivation was improving day by day. Now it has even broken through the empty void. Li Yuehua looked at her third brother with some awe. She is now finding it increasingly difficult to understand her third brother. Great Qian is changing with each passing day, and there are endless prodigy and more strange strong men appearing. Especially in the past few days, she felt an extremely captivating and sharp aura, which even surpassed the feeling of the old charlatan in Guzhou. That's the Saint realm. Even the lowest Saint realm is not comparable to the Dao realm. So she came to the Imperial Palace. She felt that if she waited another 2 years, the world outside would really change. She could sense that from time to time, someone in Qiandu would break through the void refining. If things continued like this, it wouldn't be long before everyone in Qiandu reached the void refining state. 2 years later, not only will you still be empty void, but all the soldiers outside will be empty void. Chapter 74. The Old Charlatan of Guzhou, The Secret of the Reincarnation of the Sixth Princess. Brother, Great Qian is now developing rapidly. My sister is also a member of Great Qian and wants to do her part. The sixth princess said sincerely. She is now extremely certain that her third brother is definitely the reincarnation of an unrivaled powerful man. Saint realm is not impossible, and it is even possible that it exists above Saint realm. It is said that there are gods in the 4 extremities, and they are in the eastern wilderness. It is also because of the existence of this god that the luck and laws of heaven in the eastern wilderness are suppressed, making it difficult to break through the saint realm in the eastern wilderness, so it is extremely rare. Otherwise, she might touch the saint realm and never be able to be reborn. Could it be that the third brother has something to do with that god? Or is he the reincarnation of that god? Li Yun turned his gaze over. This ordinary glance made Li Yuehua feel as if she was on the edge of an abyss. It was a kind of majesty that had never been seen before. He seemed like a natural king, majestic without even getting angry. Li Yuehua felt that the secrets of her body had been seen through. She had seen Changning's heavenly emperor from afar, and the imperial power of Li Yun was comparable to that of the heavenly emperor. That heavenly emperor has reached the state of perfection in the Tao of integration. If the dynasty is lucky, not to mention the saint, even the saint king will find it difficult to contend with him. It's great that my royal sister has this intention, but Great Qian doesn't support idle people. Your current cultivation is acceptable, but it is not enough. The Royal Academy is still short of a chief instructor. You should go there first. Li Yun's majestic voice came. The past life of this sixth princess was not simple, so she was more than qualified to be a chief instructor and teach students in the law manifestation realm. It's not impossible to be a dean. Even though the strength is not sufficient now, the theoretical knowledge should be quite rich. However, Li Yun has already reserved the position of dean for someone else. The one from the fallen god plane, no matter you are an alien god or a god from heaven, once you enter the Great Qian, you will never be able to escape. Li Yuehua's face froze. She didn't go there to teach. Ta Shang Chu Qian Do, Ta Yi Shang Ku Eastern Wilderness. Dan Shi Ta Chu Bu La Qian Doa. Li Yun seemed to see what she was thinking and said. I can erase the aura in your soul, but if you can resolve it yourself, it will be good for you. There is a way to resolve it in the treasury of the Hall of Merit, but you can either exchange it for merit points or academy points. This is the rule of Great Qian. During the Grand Court meeting, Li Yun announced the establishment of the Hall of Merit. Anyone who has made contributions to Great Qian can obtain corresponding merit points based on the size of their contributions. Merit points can be exchanged for corresponding items in the treasury. In the academy, you can also earn points, which have the same function as merit points. Except for the items confiscated by Great Qian, the rest of the items in the treasury are junk that Li Yun doesn't want after signing in. Of course, these junk goods are out of reach for the people of Great Qian today. This thing was also created by Li Yun based on the treasure house of the Void Trade Fair, and it also opened a window for trading. You can exchange your own rare treasures for corresponding merit points. Li Yuehua finally nodded and agreed to Li Yun's words. His Majesty would not harm him, nor would he have any motive to harm her. Even if I reached the level 1 did in my previous life, I don't know if His Majesty would take me seriously. She hesitated for a moment, and felt that since she could no longer keep her secret, she might as well tell it all. Follow Great Qian and eat 9 meals in 3 days. Your Majesty, my sister has something else to say. Li Yuehua gritted her teeth. Explain. The Emperor's sister is actually a reincarnated person. In her previous life, she practiced for more than 2,000 years and reached the state of perfection in the Tao. She is the ghost state of the eastern wilderness. Okay, these are all irrelevant, let's get to the point. Li Yun interrupted Li Yuehua. This made Li Yuehua feel that her guess was correct. Li Yun didn't even take a Tao fusion realm seriously. Because why? Because he has the confidence, he is confident in his own abilities. Although I cultivated to the state of perfection in my previous life, my lifespan is less than 500 years, and there is no hope of breaking through the saint realm. I happened to meet an old charlatan who said that he had the opportunity to become a saint, but not in this life. At that time, he gave me a jade token, which allowed me to travel through the eastern wilderness. Whenever the jade token moved, it would be the time for me to be reborn. I didn't believe it at first, but he showed the cultivation of saint realm, so I couldn't help but believe it. He didn't force me, he just left the jade token and left. After 300 years, I still hadn't made any progress in my cultivation. Then I remembered this jade token. With a skeptical attitude, I began to travel the eastern wilderness. This lasted for 100 years. I arrived at Baozhou, which is adjacent to Qingzhou, and the jade token responded. I was already old at the time, so I didn't think much about it. I just found a place to die, and my soul was pulled away by the jade token at a rapid speed. I was dazed and saw a shadow of a Saint Realm warrior coming towards me, but the old charlatan appeared and blocked it. However, the Saint Realm warrior still left a trace of his aura in my soul. I think they are not targeting me, but the place where the jade token flew to, which is now Great Qian. Li Yun nodded. He had seen the causal line between Li Yuehua and Saint Realm a long time ago, and he didn't expect that this was the reason. Have you seen the Saint Realm that appeared last? I haven't seen it, but I guess it's the Saint Realm of the Holy Heaven sect. The Saint Realm is in charge of a state. The jade token made a loud noise at that time, so it should not be hidden from the Saint Realm of the Holy Heaven sect. Only they have such strength and speed. Li Yuehua guessed. That old charlatan you're talking about. He is from Guzhou. I have never seen him before, but after he gave me the jade token, I began to secretly explore his identity. This person is very low-key and few people have heard of him. However, I still heard from the leaders of several major forces that there is a mysterious saint realm in Guzhou. He is very powerful and has always believed in the law of fate. It seems that he is looking for someone. When I last traveled through the eastern wilderness, I also heard some information about this person. It seems that he is a figure behind many forces in the eastern wilderness. Besides, I think, he is a bit similar to my eldest brother. Li Yuehua finally said hesitantly. He originally didn't want to reveal his eldest brother, but he still didn't hide it. Li Yun didn't say anything, but kept tapping the edge of the chair with his right hand. Da. 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 Things are becoming increasingly complicated. All of this should be closely related to that god. But Xiaoda didn't know much. He only knew that his old master died shortly after he went to the starry sky. It stayed in the eastern wilderness for tens of thousands of years, looking for the reincarnation of its master. Found the right person one after another. Finally found the land of 100 countries. Now, Li Yun suddenly felt that this god was not that simple and might not be dead. And the eldest brother may not be from this continent, but he is also closely related to that god. Okay, you can go back first. You don't have to worry about the Saint Realm. Whether it's a dragon or a tiger, they have to coil when they come to Great Qian. Chapter 75, Tianmu Palace and Skynet, Visitors from Shungshan Sect. In the Imperial Palace, Li Linfu walked in and saluted. Your Majesty, please stand up. How is the preparation of Tianmu Mansion going? Li Yun asked. Your Majesty, I have selected the first batch from the 36 counties, a total of 500 people, all carefully selected, and the Tianmu Palace has now begun to operate normally. Li Yun nodded. This Tian Shogunate is the latest organization he has established. Led by the cabinet, but independent of it. Responsible for processing a lot of information from outside Great Qian. Those who can enter the Tianmu Palace are the most intelligent and transcendent people in Great Qian. They are proficient in arithmetic, metaphysics, astronomy, geography, medicine, and so on. Their cultivation may not be high, but the power they can exert may be more powerful than Saint Realm. All the intelligence that Great Qian can obtain will be sent to Tianmu Mansion first, and these people will deduce the best conclusion based on the intelligence. Then, according to the priority, it will be submitted to the cabinet for approval or directly to the Imperial Palace. Of course, all of this is inseparable from the support of massive intelligence. The more and more detailed the intelligence is, the more information they can get, and the results they can deduce will be the most suitable. So, Li Yun established a new organization called Skynet. Similarly, Skynet belongs to the Jinyue, but the Jinyue is internally focused while Skynet is externally focused. Responsible for lurking. Today, the number of Jinyue has reached 200,000, most of whom have reached the law manifestation realm and are scattered throughout Great Qian. The number of people in Skynet has reached millions. It's just that their realms are slightly lower, and many of them are only acquired realm. They are not responsible for assassinations or arrests, so there is no need for them to take action. All they have to do is lurk and gather intelligence. These millions of people have already poured into the eastern wilderness, and more are still pouring in. Once these people enter the eastern wilderness, they must hide their identities and take root in the eastern wilderness. Some of them may never have a chance to be used in their lifetime, but if they can provide effective information, it will be a great contribution. Okay, increase the screening efforts. These people are far from enough. The eastern wilderness is too big. The number of Skynets in the future will be terrifying. A huge amount of information needs to be screened and sorted. I'm afraid the brains of these 500 elites will explode. By the way, the county exam is over, and the list of candidates for the palace exam should have been passed to your cabinet. Are there any good candidates? Li Yun suddenly asked. Li Linfu leaned forward and said, Your Majesty, the list submitted by the 36 counties contains a total of 180 people, 9 of whom deserve special attention. They are all amazing talents. There was a man named Jia Yu, who was proficient in criminal justice. He was a county official in the former Sai state. He actually compiled a set of criminal laws that greatly changed the local customs. No one dared to cross the line. However, such a great talent was not valued by the Sai state. There is a man named Xu Xing, who is quite familiar with agriculture and has written 32 articles on agricultural theories. I have conducted a pilot project based on his theories and the yield of spiritual seeds per mu has tripled. One of them is called Zhao Kuo, who is good at military strategy and was originally a general of the state of Chu. Lord Li once discussed military affairs with him after attacking Chu. He said that this man's military strategy was not inferior to that of Generals Chen and Huo. One person. The 9 people all focus on various disciplines, covering law, agriculture, military affairs, medicine, the art of diplomacy, etc. Li Yun showed a slightly strange look. This immediately developed into 100 schools of thought. It seems that there are talented people everywhere. Yes, I will wait and see the palace examination in 10 days. Li Linfu withdrew. The imperial palace fell silent again. King Zhou. Outside the Yin-Yang sect, a man and a woman appeared. They all have outstanding temperament, noble bearing, and extraordinary demeanor. You can tell at first glance that they are not ordinary people. The younger woman, who looked to be in her early 20s, had an indifferent expression on her face, and her eyes were filled with arrogance. The man next to her was wearing a black suit, with a cold expression and a serious face. Is this the branch of our Shungshan sect in Qingzhou? What a waste, occupying such a piece of land with thin spirit qi, it brings shame to our Shungshan sect. The woman said disdainfully, looking at the Yin-Yang sect's headquarters in front of her. The man next to him said, Qingzhou is far inferior to Baozhou, and if the Yin-Yang sect really grows stronger, the governor and the demon slayer guards will not allow them to stay in Qingzhou. Tisk, what can the governor and the demon slayer guard do in a small Qingzhou? In Baozhou, the governor and the demon slayer guard are so powerful, but they still have to rely on the Holy Heaven sect. The woman was still very disdainful, as if every breath of air in Qingzhou was dirty. The man shook his head helplessly. Her junior sister was extremely arrogant. She grew up in Shungshan sect and had never experienced the dangers of the world. She always thought that Shungshan sect was invincible. This time, Elder Bai let her out on purpose to experience it and to curb her arrogant temper. Junior sister, there are always people who are better than you. When you go out, you should keep a low profile. Not everyone is afraid of the reputation of Shungshan sect. Moreover, in the cultivation world, murders and robberies are common. It is better to be careful. Senior brother Z, you are not very old, but why do you speak in an old-fashioned way? You don't have any youthful vigor. Look at senior brothers Yang and Liang. They are full of arrogance and are favored by the elders of the sect. You should learn from them. The woman criticized with her hands behind her back. The man laughed. Can he compare with the 5 true disciples of Shungshan sect? Although some people now secretly call him the 6th true disciple, he is only 1 step away from taking the position of the 6th true disciple. But he knew that he was 1 step away from this and might not be able to make it in a year or 2. Besides, he really isn't the kind of person who likes to show off. Is there anyone here? Isn't there even a gatekeeper in the broken Yin-Yang sect? While the man was thinking, the woman had already taken 2 steps forward, and a burst of empty void realm cultivation burst out, startling all the birds in the forest. It also alarmed the disciples and senior leaders of Yin-Yang sect. The man wanted to stop it, but then he thought better of it. Yin-Yang sect is their affiliated sect, and he knows its strength. There is 1 person in the Daoan realm and several in the Hexu realm, probably they are in seclusion and not coming out. The sect leader has not even reached the Hexu realm. Although there are many empty voids, he does not take them seriously. Confirm it's safe, you can go surfing. The dignity of Shungshan sect cannot be violated. Give them a little warning, otherwise they will not know how powerful the main sect is. The emperor is far away and it is easy for them to have second thoughts. At this time, several big guys in the Hexu realm were still dividing the spoils in the sect hall. All the resources they stole from the back mountain of Examin's house were originally handed over, and then they were rewarded with 10%. 1/10 of the Examin family's resources is several times more than the entire Yin-Yang sect's resources combined. The crying Taoist in the Tao realm simply took away a few items that were of some use to the Tao realm, and then went to carry out the new task assigned to him. The remaining few people were arguing over the ownership of a low-level Tao weapon. The woman's voice outside frightened them. Then, he saw a woman shouting and yelling at their sect's headquarters in a majestic manner. Several people suddenly became angry. Damn it! A cultivator from the Grotto Heaven realm dares to cause trouble. Although he looks very young, he may have a strong background. But is their Yin-Yang sect made of mud? I have Great Qian behind me now. It's not that damn Shungshan sect that doesn't care about anything. Several people exerted their strength at the same time, and 5 energies of pressure from the void realm came towards the woman. Outside, the man's face changed. Not good. Chapter 76. Shungshan sect will hold a Dragon Gate meeting. Niu Ma, you are such an old fool. The man was quick-witted and quick-handed. He knew he could not defeat the pressure the moment it came, so he threw out a jade pendant. A faint yellow light emerged and enveloped the woman. Boom. The yellow light flickered slightly, and the woman inside also showed a look of surprise. The man hurriedly shouted, "We are the inner disciples of Shungshan sect. We are here to read out the sect's decree. Please accept divine ability." Shungshan sect. Several Hexu from Yin-Yang sect looked at each other. They just changed their signboard and already someone from Shungshan sect came. In fact, they are not familiar with the Shungshan sect. In the entire sect, only the Grand Master had been to Shungshan sect. The rest of the elders and disciples, including the sect master, only knew that they were a subsidiary sect of Shungshan sect. They had rarely seen the disciples of Shungshan sect. The Shungshan sect has never sent anyone to issue any decrees. Elder Niu, do you think we should invite them in? Or just? Sect Master Shen Kui on the side made a beheading gesture. Before Li Yun left, he ordered Niu Ma to be in charge of Yin-Yang sect. So even if Shen Kui has not had time to resign as the sect leader yet, Niu Ma still has to make the decision on everything. Niu Ma pondered for a moment, then shook his head. Your Majesty should have some ideas about the Shungshan sect. Don't have any friction with the Shungshan sect for the time being. Let's see what orders the Shungshan sect issues first, and then discuss it. The Supremes and Sect Masters, please step aside for a while. I will be the only one to receive you. If there is any emergency, I will trouble you again. Yes. Several people in the Hexu realm all flashed away. The cows and horses leapt up and rushed out of the sect. Ha ha ha. Welcome the 2 envoys from the upper sect. Please forgive us. Some big events have happened in Qingzhou recently. We thought that there were foreign enemies invading. Please forgive us, forgive us. Niu Ma laughed cheerfully, with a very humble attitude. Snort. The woman snorted coldly, and was obviously very dissatisfied, especially when she saw that after the 2 of them had revealed their identities, there was only one person at the initial stage of empty void who came to greet them. She was even more dissatisfied. Didn't they say that the sect master has already achieved the empty void? The sect leader didn't even come out to greet him personally. They sent such a sharp-nosed and monkey-faced guy. Do you look down on my Shungshan sect? The man seemed much calmer. The several pressures just now were obviously from the Hexu realm, and they were not just the first time entering the Hexu realm. None of them came out to greet them, either because they were dissatisfied with the Shungshan sect, or because they were proud of their status and looked down on them. However, due to the reputation and strength of the Shungshan sect, he did not dare to act rashly. So he randomly sent an insignificant person to deal with them. It seems that we need to strengthen the management of our clan in the future. Give them some color. Elder, we too have come here with the decree of the Holy Heaven sect. Are you asking me to announce it here? Why don't you open the Mountain Gate formation? Gather all the sect members and listen to the decree. There was a hint of oppression in the man's words, highlighting the majesty of the Shungshan sect. Oh, we are negligent. 2 envoys, please, please. Niu Ma nodded and bowed, and took the 2 of them into the sect. If the envoy has any decrees, why don't you just announce them directly? I am just a cow and a horse. Many of the great elders in the sect are in seclusion. Now I am the one who makes the decisions in the sect. When they arrived at the sect's main hall, Niu Ma asked the 2 to sit in the upper seats, and he sat below. The man frowned. Not to mention the pressure from the several levels of Hexu realm that he had just felt, even if they were in seclusion, they shouldn't let someone at the initial level of empty void take charge. This Yin-Yang sect looks a bit weird. You old man, if I tell you to gather the entire sect together, just do it, why are you talking so much nonsense? The woman frowned and scolded. She felt that the Yin-Yang sect was too disrespectful and had no idea of humility. A hint of coldness flashed across Niu Ma's eyes, but his expression remained unchanged and a smile was always on his face. Before he could say anything, the man scolded him first. Junior sister, what did I tell you before? We are here to announce the order, and the mission is completed. Then he looked at the cows and horses and said with a smile. Elder Niu, since you can make the decision, then we won't bother anymore. Shungshan sect has issued an order. 1 year from now, Shungshan sect will hold the Dragon Gate Conference. All the powerful people above the empty void realm, except those who must stay behind to guard the mountain gate, must attend the ceremony. Many sects from the 36 states of the eastern wilderness, as well as the masters from the 2 great dynasties, have received invitations. This grand event cannot be missed. The cows and horses were shocked. Will the Shungshan sect hold a Dragon Gate meeting? This is a big event for the entire eastern wilderness. As one of the 6 major sects, the Shungshan sect undoubtedly has a huge influence. The sudden convening of the Dragon Gate meeting would not be without purpose. Maybe something big is going to happen. Please rest assured, messenger. We will definitely go there when the time comes. Niyama stood up and said solemnly. This kind of event is 100 times more grand than the Qingzhou prodigy. I think Great Qian will definitely not miss it. As for whether His Majesty would cause trouble at such a grand event, that was not something he could get involved in. Elder Niu, it has been a long time since our Shungshan sect has had a subordinate sect visit. How about my 2 senior brothers and sisters take the opportunity to test and teach the Yin-Yang sect martial arts? The man suddenly said after announcing the decree. That's right, we need to test him. If he is too weak, it will tarnish the reputation of our Shungshan sect, right? The woman said excitedly. Niu Ma's expression looked a little strange. He understood that his attitude had irritated them a little, and he wanted to show his power to the Yin-Yang sect. How could the sect's law manifestation and a few void refining disciples be their opponents? Isn't the target still these empty void elders? This man's cultivation has reached the perfection of empty void. His aura is even stronger than that of the sect master before he went into seclusion. There are few rivals in the empty void realm. Okay, since the envoy has such intention, then I will trouble you. But we should limit the fighting to a certain extent and not hurt the envoy. Niu Ma said enthusiastically. However, the cultivation of the disciples below is too low, how can they be a match for the envoy? Why don't we replace them with some elders? Both of them sneered. Ha ha. You are from a poor and remote area and have never seen the world. Do you think those useless elders of yours can fight? This time, I will show you the strength of Shungshan sect. Martial arts training ground. Both parties are in position. Niu Ma summoned all the elders and disciples of the entire sect. Many elders and disciples looked at the 2 people from Shungshan sect with great curiosity. They had also heard the voices outside the mountain gate before, but they didn't know what the people from the Shungshan sect were coming for. Niyama walked onto the martial arts training ground and said loudly, My fellow disciples, first of all, we welcome the 2 envoys from the upper sect. They are both inner disciples of the Shungshan sect. They are both well-known heroes in the entire eastern wilderness. The 2 of them were very pleased with Niu Ma's words. Although eastern wilderness hero is a bit too much, but no matter how many holes there are, flattery will never wear out. Even someone as indifferent as Zixing felt very happy to see so many admiring looks. Not to mention a girl who is so vain and enjoys being admired. I just heard Niu Ma continue to speak. They are about the same age as you, but their realms have already reached the empty void realm. Even the purple supreme envoy has reached the realm of perfection of the empty void. They are invincible in the same realm and can even fight across borders and crush the Hexu. The man was startled and wanted to refute, but was suppressed by the discussions below. Oh my god. We can actually fight across borders. This is prodigy. He's less than 30 years old and he's already perfected empty void. He's far ahead of us. Ah. If only I could have half the strength of purple envoy, I would be famous in Qingzhou. Niyama pressed his hands to stop the noise below. Everyone, now the 2 envoys want to test our Yin-Yang sect's martial arts. Although our Yin-Yang sect admits that we are no match for them, we must not bring shame upon the prestige of the Shengtian sect. Even if we die, we must defend the dignity of the Shengtian sect. If we do not accept the challenge, we will be unworthy of being a subordinate of the Shengtian sect. Don't you think so? Yes, yes, yes. A group of disciples shouted. Okay, then both parties please come on stage. On the other side, a woman named Bai Qijun walked onto the stage amidst admiring gazes. On the other side, sect leader Shen Kui also came on the field calmly. Disciples. Zixing. White Red True. The elders. FK. Niyama, you are such a fool. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 77. As a prodigy, it is reasonable to surpass a higher realm, right? Martial arts training ground. After both sides came on the court, Zixing couldn't sit still anymore. He sent a voice message to Niu Ma. Elder Niu, what's going on? My junior sister is only in the early stage of empty void, why are you sending people to the Hexu realm? The tone sounded very anxious. Although his junior sister was quite powerful, she was lucky enough to survive one move in the duel with He Shu. Niu Ma was very surprised and asked, why? Your Excellency, aren't all the heroes of our Shungshan sect able to fight above their rank? No way, no way, the genius of Shungshan sect is not as good as the talent of King Zhou. Zixing's face was filled with black lines. You make it sound like killing enemies of higher levels is as easy as eating and drinking. Elder Niu, fighting against enemies of higher levels is not as easy as you think, especially when it comes to fighting against enemies of higher levels. I see that you are also in the early stage of empty void. Can you fight against enemies of higher levels? Niu Ma said confidently. I can't do it, so I am just a small elder of Yin-Yang sect. You are the prodigy of Shungshan sect, representing the face of Shungshan sect. Zixing. I am speechless. But he still spoke earnestly. Elder Niu, my junior sister is still young, and she thinks she is not weaker than King Zhou prodigy, but it is impossible to fight against a higher realm. It will be difficult to find such a person in your King Zhou in 1,000 years. Your words are wrong, Master Z. Do you know what happened to the King Zhou prodigy a few days ago? Countless prodigy stood out. There are those who have reached the ultimate state of empty void in void refining, and some who have killed Wen Dao in void refining. There are also those who have fought Wen Dao in empty void without losing, and after entering the combined void, they have killed Wen Dao with one blow. I believe that our sect's prodigy also has this ability. You two should not hide your abilities. Even if we send out the Hexu realm, we are very scared. Look, many of our sect's empty void realm are trembling with fear. If the Grand Master of Dao realm hadn't been out yet, we would have arranged for him to go on stage. In front of prodigy from the empty void realm, only a Dao realm cultivator can barely save his life. Zixing. Are you sure they are shaking with fear? Zixing is a little confused now. Did I hear it wrong? Or has the world changed? Void Refining asked, are you telling me a story? Do you need to enter the Dao realm to barely save your life in front of the empty void realm? Am I practicing in the wrong way? First the Dao realm, then the virtual realm. Elder Niu, please stop joking. Void Refining asked, let alone King Zhou, even in our Baozhou, even if we look at the entire eastern wilderness, there is no way there would be such a perverted person. Elder Niu, please ask that senior Hexu to come down. Zixing forced a smile. Niu Ma said righteously, Envoy Z, I am not joking, and I dare not joke with the envoy. Then he asked doubtfully, is it true that the two envoys cannot cross the border to fight? Zixing felt insulted. He really wanted to give a big slap to the ugly face of the cow and horse. But he still forced himself to hold back. He glanced at Shen Kui, who was in the Hexu realm on the stage. He thought that he had just broken through not long ago, and felt that he might be able to give it a fight. Not wanting to lose face, he stood up resolutely and said domineeringly, Elder Niu, please replace my junior sister. I will fight this battle for her. It is not impossible to fight across the border. The cows and horses stood up suddenly and gave thumbs up. Well, the purple envoy is finally going to make a move. I know that the purple envoy is a hidden talent, far superior to those mediocre people in King Zhou. Master Z, please. Then, he faced the audience and said loudly, since the white envoy is not feeling well, the purple envoy will take the test first. The purple envoy has declared that he can fight across borders. Although our Yin-Yang sect is a small sect, we will also let the purple envoy enjoy the battle. Come on, second Taisheng, please take all the Dao weapon equipment with you, and be careful not to hurt yourself. A breath of Hexu late stage rose up from behind. Zixing, who had just leapt out and had not yet reached the martial arts training ground, stumbled. I almost couldn't catch my breath. What a domineering declaration. Damn Dao weapon, bring your equipment and be careful not to get hurt. Do I look so powerful? Junior sister, let's go. There are ghosts in this place. We can't stay here anymore. After Zixing came down, he walked up to Bai Qijun and said softly. Bai Qijun was still a little confused. I don't know why they don't reach the same level when it's clearly a martial arts competition. Do you think you are no match for your opponent? Or stable? Elder Niu, we have suddenly received a message from the sect and need to rush back. If you want to take the test, you can wait for 3 months. When the time comes, you must come. I will definitely treat you well. Zixing spoke seriously to the cows and horses on the platform. He said the last sentence through gritted teeth. Have a safe journey, both envoys. I will be here in 3 months. The two left. Niu Ma dismissed the people from the sect and then spat at the two men's embarrassed backs. Young man, you are still a little too young to play with me. In the past, cattle and horses would have knelt down and licked them. But it's different now. Now he has a backer and he can stand taller. Lanshan, that's right, Xiao Kuizi, quickly step down. Niu Lanshan is the most suitable person to be the leader. Several people in the Hexu realm gathered around, and the second supreme master spoke to the sect leader Shen Kui. Shen Kui felt helpless. If the second supreme said so, it would be fine for him to refuse, but since his majesty had spoken, he couldn't continue to be the sect leader. I was already planning to abdicate, but I'd rather do it today than wait for another day. In the outside world, Bai Qijun and Zixing had already walked a long way away. Senior brother Z, what's going on? Bai Qijun said belatedly. Why do those people have the right to reach the upper void realm? I am not afraid of anyone in the same realm as you. Zixing shook his head. If they were in the same situation, he wouldn't be afraid. But according to Elder Niama, there are quite a few people in Qingzhou who can cross the border to fight, and they can even void refining. If he and others insisted on forcing a battle on the same level, even if they won, they would not be able to demonstrate the majesty of their sect. Instead, it would make people feel that their sect was inferior. The two of them represent Baozhou Shengxian sect, and if they are testing their sect, doesn't that mean Baozhou is not as good as Qingzhou? The two of us cannot afford such a big thing. He relayed Niama's words to Bai Qijun, which immediately caused a scream. Bai Qijun jumped 3 feet high. Impossible, absolutely impossible, this is definitely a rumor. We will know if it is possible once we go to Dafeng City. Anyway, we have to go to Beishuan family and the governor's mansion to deliver the invitation. The Qingzhou Prodigy Conference just ended 2 days ago, and the popularity is probably still very high. We will know if it is just a rumor. Zixing said in a deep voice, and then warned the woman again. By the way, when you get to Dafeng City, keep a low profile and don't mess with the Demon Slayer guards and the governor's mansion. This is not Baozhou. Oh. The woman uttered an, oh, but was obviously absent-minded. Chapter 78. Entering the Void Trade Fair again, will the road to becoming an immortal be opened? Great Qian Emperor Palace. The token in Li Yun's hand glowed, and the Void Trading Conference resumed. This was the 4th time he had opened the token. I originally thought that I would not meet other holders this time. But what he didn't expect was that when he entered the trading venue, he actually saw more than 10 figures. Except for the skinny old man who was as skinny as a stone, all the other 7 people were there last time. And there are 5 more people. There are 3 men and 2 women, all of whom have a strong aura and are extraordinary people. Did something big happen in the starry sky? Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people here. Hey, when did a newcomer come? And he's so weak. A sexy young man in green clothes said with a smile. Little snake, shut up, said a woman in a fiery red robe next to her with a frown. The young man raised his eyebrows and was about to fight back, but when he saw that no one else said anything, he didn't say anything more. Instead, he stared at Li Yun with interest. Li Yun remained calm and sat naturally in his last seat, looking at the newcomers out of the corner of his eye. Sitting opposite him was the young man in green, giving off a very cold aura. The woman in the fiery red robe next to him was completely the opposite, radiating a scorching heat. An old woman in a gray robe, with the robe covering her entire body, leaving only her face exposed. A slender woman in green, with long pointed ears, very elegant and full of young lady style. The last person was a burly red-haired man, exuding a murderous aura. Just a casual glance from him was enough to make Li Yun feel like he was falling into an icy cave. Well, Li Yun sighed in his heart. They are all strong people. I don't know when I can reach this level. Although he didn't know the specific divisions of the divine realm, these people were obviously top powerhouses in the divine realm. A small world like the Four Extremities continent would probably not be able to withstand the aura of these people. One look at it and it will be reduced to ashes. However, these people were obviously troubled by something, and there was something wrong with their expressions. Everyone should be here. Is there anything you want to trade this time? If not, let's move on to the next item. The bald man spoke first. No one spoke, and it was obvious that no one was there for the trade. Okay, then let's talk about the path to becoming an immortal. Although we are not the strongest among the 7 regions of the starry sky, we also represent the best of our respective races. The road to immortality is about to open, and I believe no one will give up. However, there are countless strong people in the starry sky. I think we can form an alliance. The bald man said in a deep voice. The path to becoming an immortal. Li Yun was shocked. Immortal. Is this the realm after being a god? He hasn't even reached the saint realm yet, has he already reached this level? I don't have any objection, but you have to ask the 2 people from the human race. They may not be willing to form an alliance with you, said the young man in green robe with a smile. The Taoist said calmly without even opening his eyes, since the 3 No Buddha withdrew from the human race 30 million years ago, there has been no possibility of an alliance between humans and Buddhas. The man with the sword on his back didn't say a word, and it was obvious that he meant the same thing. Li Yun wrote it down silently. Buddha. Is he also a race? Withdraw from the human race and become a separate race. Thus becoming a feud. The first time Li Yun saw the charming woman in red, he spoke to the man with a sword on his back. Jian Wu, how about forming an alliance with me? You will protect me, and when I reach the fairyland, I will do my best to revive your love. Kai. The woman in the fiery red robe sneered. Third princess, you really have a good plan. Since you have such power after becoming an immortal, why don't you become an immortal yourself? I'm protecting you, but you don't even take AP****s and look at yourself. What did you say, you stinky phoenix? The seductive woman stood up and said angrily. Okay, let's talk business first. The young man in green robe stood up and persuaded. Roll. Okay. The two rolling sounds frightened him so much that his neck shrank, and no one saw the coldness that flashed across his eyes. I think what King Divine said makes sense. There are many strong ones in the myriad races of the starry sky. Some of them have to be eliminated first. Otherwise, let's start with the human race, said the gray-robed old woman gloomily. The hoarse voice was chilling. Although the human race is weak, it is not something that any random person can talk nonsense about. If you, the corpse race, want to annihilate the entire race, I, the human race, don't mind fulfilling your wish. Jianwu opened his eyes, his tone was light but it carried a heavy weight. HMPH. The old woman snorted coldly and said nothing more. Alliance. What kind of alliance? The number of immortals is limited, so of course the strongest ones should be chosen. Only the weak will think of forming an alliance. The road to immortality will be opened within 10,000 years. I hope you don't meet anyone from my Shira clan, otherwise I will kill you all. The burly red-haired middle-aged man stood up, said a few words and left the hall. The rest of the people were silent for a moment and then left one after another. This person is right, forming alliances is indeed something that the weak do. But it is indeed a very effective method. Although they left, it is unknown whether there were any other shady deals in secret. Only Li Yun and the seductive woman were left in the hall. The woman stood up and walked to Li Yun, teasing him. Brother, it's been a while since we last met. I waited for you for a long time last time. How could you be so cruel to stand me up? The woman even reached out and almost touched Li Yun's face. Li Yun took 2 steps back, bowed slightly, and then said, "Thank you for your appreciation, miss. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first." After saying that, he fled away. This woman was really brave, and Li Yun was a little scared. If what he guessed was correct, this person should be a member of Dragon Race, and the third princess of Dragon Race, with an extremely noble status. The one who just acted against her might be a member of the Phoenix tribe, whose status should be no less important than the 3 princesses of Dragon Race. He really can't control such a person now. The starry sky myriad races are really interesting. Li Yun seemed to have already seen the scene of ascending to the starry sky in the future. Afterwards, Li Yun went to the item warehouse to check and found an item that could be used to entrust the person in the falling god plane, but it required thousands of exchange points. Even if he had all his current wealth plus Great Qian, he might not be able to afford it. His Royal Academy had no choice but to let him down and wait for a while before welcoming his dean. After returning to the Imperial Palace, Li Yun sorted out the information he had obtained from the Void Trade Fair. First of all, it is the starry sky pattern. According to what the bald man said, there are 7 major domains in the starry sky. The old woman also said that there are myriad races in the starry sky. The swordsman said that although the human race is weak, it can destroy the corpse race. As the Taoist said, humans and Buddha cannot coexist. Li Yun summarized it and came to the following conclusion. In the starry sky, the myriad races gather and are divided into 7 domains. The human race is one of the myriad races. It once had its glorious moments, but is now somewhat weak. The Buddha even withdrew from the human race and established its own race, causing the human race's strength to decline sharply. But even if the human race is weakened, its strength should not be underestimated. The second are the major races he knows. Swordsmen and Taoists are obviously human race. The seductive woman is dragon race. Monks are Buddhists. The woman in red is from the Phoenix clan. The old woman is a corpse. The burly middle-aged man with red hair is from the Shira clan and has a strong murderous intention. I don't know about the rest. Last but not least. Within 10,000 years, the road to becoming an immortal will be opened. Li Yun is most concerned about this. 10,000 years is a very long number. He didn't think he would need that long. How can the road to becoming an immortal be without Li Yun and Great Qian? Chapter 79. The Era of Stealing Spirit Qi, the buffer period before the Great Qian War. A mountain in Baozhou full of spirit qi. A stealthy figure walked out, a large bag of storage rings on his body clinking against each other. A moment later, an angry man rushed straight into the clouds. Judging from his aura, he is actually at the Dao realm. Whoever stole my spirit qi for flying to Cloud Mountain, stand out. The big man's voice covered hundreds of miles around, startling all the beasts and birds in the mountain. The big man is the founder of the Yunshui sect. Although he is not very strong in Baozhou, he is still a Taoist at least, so the Yunshui sect is also considered to be quite large. Therefore, they grabbed Yunshui Mountain, a place full of spirit qi, and there are even 3 spirit veins underneath. It is enough for the disciples of Yunshui Mountain to use for tens of thousands of years. However, he was in seclusion in the cave mansion, and suddenly he discovered that the spirit qi of Feiyan Mountain was rapidly fading. This aroused his vigilance and he quickly began to explore. I didn't know what I was looking into, and I was shocked. The spirit chi of the 3 spirit veins at the foot of the mountain was actually almost gone, and the spirit chi became extremely thin. This could cost him his life. Without spirit vein, the food, clothing and other expenses of Yunshui sect's tens of thousands of disciples would become a problem. We can't even pay the salaries of the elders and deacons. Why don't you let the enemy sect poach all the disciples and elders? The foundation he had worked so hard to build was destroyed in an instant. You say he is angry or not? In the distance, Ji Yuan, who had mixed in with the crowd of onlookers, looked at the incompetent and furious man with a smile, just like an ordinary onlooker. He also hugged the person next to him and asked, "Brother, what's going on?" The man said with excitement, "Brother, you are new here, right? Let me tell you, recently a thief came to Baozhou who specializes in stealing spirit chi. He specifically targets those sects with abundant spirit chi. So far, more than 10 mountain gates and 3 large cities have been attacked by his thief. Oh, there are people who steal spirit chi. What kind of method do they use?" Ji Yuan asked in confusion. "Who said it wasn't? So far, we haven't figured out who did it. It is said that the mountain gate forces that were attacked have formed an anti-theft team. They are all in the Dao realm and they are determined to catch this guy. No more talking, brother. I'm going to Yunshimen to watch the joke. If I go too late, I won't be able to catch up with the front row." The man left in a hurry, leaving behind Ji Yuan with a mysterious smile on his face. "The mission is almost complete, it's time to go back. I filled up 100 storage rings, which should be enough for Great Qian to use for a while. Windy City. After walking for several days, Zixing and Bai Qijun finally arrived at the final destination of their trip. They went to Bai Zan's house first. I didn't expect that the Baishuan family would close their home. Not knowing what was going on, they asked someone and unexpectedly got a surprising answer. Lord North Profound Venerable, who had some influence in Baozhou, was beaten up, and was knocked down in one move. At the same time, they also learned many details about the Prodigy Society. They originally thought it was just a rumor, but now they believed it about 70% of the time. After all, didn't you see that the Baishuan family was beaten and locked up in their house? With the strength of the Baishuan family, it would be among the first-class forces in Baozhou. Not counting the Great Northern Profound Venerable, who is at the late stage of the Dao, there are at least 4 or 5 Dao realm masters in his family. Although it cannot be compared with his Shungshan sect, it can also crush many forces. At the same time, Great Qian's name was also deeply remembered by them. For a powerful force like this, he would have to send an invitation. But no matter how they asked, they couldn't find Great Qian's residence. Finally, they waited for 2 days before delivering the Baishuan family's invitation and setting off for Daifeng City. As soon as I entered the Great Wind City, I heard about the prodigy meeting a few days ago, and there were discussions everywhere. He has heard the names of several Great Qian's prodigy so many times that his ears are calloused. Bai Qijun muttered, "Anyway, I don't believe there is such a genius. It must be that the people here have never seen the world." Zixing did not respond, but just said, "Let's go to the governor's mansion first, meet with the governor Zhao, and ask him. As the governor, he certainly knows the most accurate information." Bai Qijun's eyes lit up. Yes, these unruly people believe everything they hear and may exaggerate a little, but the governor should know the real truth. The two of them walked quickly towards the governor's mansion. When passing by a blacksmith shop, Zixing glanced inside casually and saw a middle-aged man with curly hair teaching a shirtless young man how to forge a sword. He looked familiar. But he didn't think much about it and continued to head towards the governor's mansion. A quarter of an hour later, the two men walked out of the governor's mansion in a daze. He ran back to Baozhou overnight. They felt that they could not stay in Qingzhou any longer, otherwise their spiritual faith would be lacking. Great Qian. Li Yun was practicing. Ever since he signed into the emperor's scripture, this technique had been running in his body all the time. Countless royal energies condensed out, and the Great Qian golden dragon of luck circled above his head. Every pore and every cell in his body seemed to have absorbed a large amount of nutrients and became extremely plump. It exudes a strong aura of sovereign pressure, like a god looking down on the world, making people dare not approach. Suddenly, his body shook, and the golden dragon of luck above his head became even brighter and more dazzling. Li Yun suddenly opened his eyes, and 2 rays of light burst out of his eyes, as sharp as swords, which seemed to be able to tear the sky and the earth apart. A terrifying aura emanated from him, enveloping the entire void. Breakthrough. It took half a month to break through from the early stage of asking questions to the late stage of asking questions. Then he looked at the black tortoise lying in the pond in the Imperial garden and laughed. "I worked so hard to break through 2 small levels. You went out to fight, came back to sleep and actually broke through to the Dao-seeking realm." He looked at the secret realm of time again. He had sent several people who had returned from the eastern wilderness into the secret realm of time. After some training, their realms had all improved. 3 months. He has already set a date. 3 months later, they will march into Qingzhou. After the Baozhou Dragon Gate meeting, King Zhou will be firmly in the hands of Great Qian. With this 3-month buffer period, with the support of massive resources, the strength of many senior executives will definitely reach above the Dao realm. By then, it will not be impossible to have a million-strong law manifestation army. You can even form an elite army of void refining. Taking over Qingzhou is just around the corner. The only thing we need to be careful about is the counterattack from the Shenfeng dynasty. Qingzhou is the territory of the Divine Phoenix. How can it be a place that can be occupied by an outside force at will? Even in Changning, we have to be careful and guard against it, because the pattern of the eastern wilderness cannot be broken so easily. If you are not careful, you will be attacked from both sides. There are also 8 major sects that we must guard against. The eastern wilderness is not as powerful as 100 nations, but the Saint Realm is thousands of miles away in an instant, and its combat power is enough to change the situation. At least we have to find ways to control Saint Realm, and never start a war rashly. 3 months later, he was confident that he could shock the eastern wilderness Saint Realm and start Great Qian's eastward expedition. Take Qingzhou first, then take eastern wilderness. Then open the passage to the 4 extremities, march to the 4 extremities, and rule the world. Chapter 80, Pig Demon World, a training ground at your doorstep. Inside the Imperial Palace, Li Yun, who had just broken through and had not yet had time to adapt, saw the Prime Minister Li Linfu hurriedly entering the palace. Greetings, Your Majesty. Stand up, Li Qing, why are you so anxious? Li Yun was a little confused. Today, the Great Qian is at peace, and the eastern wilderness is also stable with nothing major happening. Today, Li Linfu has already broken through the virtual realm with the accumulation of resources, and his qi nurturing skills are also very good. Why is he so anxious? Your Majesty, something big has happened. A secret realm entrance suddenly appeared in Qing'an County. Several foreign orcs appeared at the other end. They said they were from the Pig Demon World. They were being chased and mistakenly entered a secret realm. Then they broke into our Great Qian and were captured on the spot by the county governor. The Qing'an County magistrate has sent people to escort them to the capital as soon as possible. It will take several hours for them to arrive. I am worried that something might happen if the process takes too long, so I came here to report as soon as possible. Oh, interesting. Li Yun looked towards the northwest. Qing'an County was on the edge of Great Qian and was extremely far away. It would take a lot of time to escort people into Qiandu. Let's go and take a look with me. Li Yun rolled up his sleeves and the two of them disappeared into the palace. Weilong is very nervous now. His father, as the leader of the rebel army in the Pig Demon World, led many orcs to resist the rule of the Pig Demons in the Pig Demon World, but was defeated miserably. Hundreds of thousands of orcs were slaughtered, and he and other relatives escaped with the escort of several loyal subordinates. He watched helplessly as his parents, sisters, and relatives all died in front of him. Even their corpses were not spared by the brutal pig demons. Fortunately, a sudden entrance to the secret realm saved him and several of his friends. They jumped into the secret realm, but the pig demons following closely behind them. The secret realm was very small, and they reached the end of it in less than an hour. Just when they were in despair, they discovered a new exit from the secret realm. He ran away without caring where the road led to. However, they discovered that this was not their pig demon world at all. Instead, it is a world full of human race. They are very familiar with the human race because some of the human race's blood still flows in their bodies. Once upon a time, the pig demon world was not called the pig demon world. At that time, humans were the masters of the world. However, since the appearance of the first pig demon that broke through the Dao realm, the rule of the human race was gradually overturned, the pig demons rose up, and soon became the masters of the world. That period of time was like a nightmare for humans, and that was why these orcs came here. The human race was almost extinct due to being slaughtered, and the pig demons began to abuse the orcs instead. So, after long torture, they revolted, and were then easily suppressed. So, he came here. As soon as he appeared, he was captured on the spot by several human races. He found that all the human races here were very strong, especially the last human who appeared, called the county governor. His strong aura was enough to make him a high-level leader in their rebel army. It is definitely an existence in the virtual world. Among the rebel army, only his father and a limited number of people broke through to the void realm. And I heard from them that here, the county magistrate is not the biggest, and there are many people above him who are far superior to the county magistrate. Now he was about to be taken to meet the supreme being here, His Majesty the Emperor. What kind of world is this? Wei Long was both relieved and worried. Fortunately, perhaps they can find some foreign aid to save their compatriots who have been ravaged by the pig demon. What worries him is that he doesn't know whether the human race in this world is good or bad, and whether he will let wolves into the house. Suddenly, the team stopped moving forward. Because the space ahead was shaking, 2 figures appeared out of nowhere in front of their team. Greetings, Your Majesty. The transport team immediately knelt down on the ground. The one in front of the two figures wore a purple gold crown and a purple gold nine-dragon robe, and his aura was as unfathomable as the abyss. In this land of Great Qian, only the Emperor of Great Qian can have such attire and majesty. Stand up, and leave now. Li Yun said, then he rolled up Wei Long and several pig-headed men and disappeared. Before Wei Long and the others could even see the Emperor, they became dizzy. When they regained consciousness, they were back at the exit of the secret realm. In front of them, a tall figure was looking at the secret realm passage with his back to them. Is this where you came out? The figure in front turned and looked at them, and at the same time, an extremely majestic voice came into their ears. Wei Long and the others were being stared at, as if even their souls were being seen through. This pressure is even stronger than that of the pig demon ancestor in the pig demon world. Reporting to the great emperor, this is the place. Over there is a desolate secret realm. At the other end of the secret realm, there is a path to our pig demon world. Wei Long plucked up his courage and said tremblingly. He didn't even dare to look up at the figure in front of him. Li Yun did not ask any more questions, but looked at the secret realm in front of him again. From the moment the foreign boy answered his questions, he knew everything he wanted to know. Here, the secret realm is like a bridge, connecting the two extremely distant worlds of Four Extremities and Pig Demon World. If the boy's memory is correct, the Pig Demon World on the opposite side is inferior to the Four Extremities continent. Even the strongest person in the Pig Demon World is only at the Dao realm. I just don't know how far I have gone in the realm of Dao. The Pig Demon World has a population of over 100 million, divided into different classes. Human race and orcs are the 9th class, the rest of the beasts are in the middle, and the pig demons are the highest class. There should not be many people in the Dao realm in the entire world, definitely no more than 10, most of whom are pig demons, and the rest are other beast tribes. Li Yun's mouth corners slightly raised. This is a training ground right at your doorstep. It is perfect for training troops before conquering the eastern wilderness. At this moment, the entrance to the secret realm suddenly responded, and dozens of figures filed out. Dozens of pig demons lined up in a row, with the two in the front standing on 2 legs, while the rest had not yet reached full training and could not yet stand on 2 legs. Ha ha ha, this is actually an unknown world with a wonderful atmosphere. This general smells the scent of a 2-legged sheep. Wait for the favor of the great pig demon. The pig demon in the front had an expression of enjoyment on his face. Afterwards, he saw Li Yun and his partner, as well as Wei Long and several wanted criminals standing nearby. 2-legged sheep. So lucky. I can have a good meal again. And little brother Wei, this general will take you to see your father right now. The pig demon leader smiled mockingly. The row of pig demons at the back all laughed wildly. Wei Long looked at these pig demons as if they were idiots. They have some strength, but no brains at all. The rebels were defeated by these idiots. It's really not worth it. Beasts are beasts. Even if they have cultivated to the virtual realm, they are still uncivilized beasts. Li Yun said lightly. Then he waved his sleeves, and in front of the horrified eyes of dozens of pig demons, their bodies continued to decompose and then disappeared directly into the air. They came to this world, but left nothing for the world. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.